I'd say he took that pretty well.
Hmm.
Do you think they'll ever find that transmitter you slipped, Yarg?
No, because there isn't one.
There isn't one? Wait.
I lied. I figured if there was a transmitter, sooner or later they'd find it and remove it. But if I just told them there was, they'd keep looking indefinitely.
Commander, do you have any idea of the test they'll put him through? The thing they do to him trying to find a transmitter that isn't there?
Yes. Come on.
There's some days I just love my job.
And that's why the guy wasn't the boss after that episode, because he's too evil.
Oh, nice. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to Science Fiction Random. My name is Robert. I'm your host.
And this is Captain Chaos.
And mad scientist Ray down here in Australia getting washed away by floods. Yay! Always fun.
And let's get the elephant out of the room. Robert finally watched Babylon 5, Ray.
He's watched one episode and it's the pilot. Come on, that doesn't really count.
So you know what? I brought two special fellas that actually are gonna help us reinforce that, and they're expert at Babylon 5 for the first time, actually.
How in 2024, Rob, have you not watched this masterpiece?
Dude, it's only like 30 years old. How have you not done this in 30 years? Can you imagine going your entire adult life not having watched this 30-year-old show and getting into it now?
And not understanding it from go? Like, come on. This is... I can't believe it.
I do believe there's a podcast you can listen to if you're having trouble understanding it.
There is. Yeah. I have been listening to that podcast, and I recommend all of you out there who are listening, you know the drill. We're a long format podcast. Past us. Just go ahead. We'll be waiting. Go to your favorite pod and type Babylon 5 for the first time. Go listen and then come back.
Or if you're watching on YouTube too, you can go and scan that barcode on the corner and it'll take you to the YouTube channel too.
Nice. Sweet.
That's cool. You can also find us at babylon5first.com. It's the number 5 in the word first. And Rob, you should spend some time there. You have a lot of catching up to do.
Oh,
doesn't he though?
After watching
we had this hashtag running for like a year and a half now.
Oh, yes. And that is the reason why we have this episode today. We want to remedy that hashtag. So, yes, I listen. I do.
Finally. Stubborn bastard, aren't you?
And let me go ahead and for all of you out there who are actually watching us on YouTube, and we really appreciate it. But if you haven't, if you're listening to the pod and you have not subscribed, go into our YouTube and subscribe so you don't miss our very own Captain Chaos's shenanigans. If you're watching on YouTube, there is a QR code. All you have to do is scan it, and it will take you to Babylon 5 for the first time. Now, if you are listening to the pod, there will be a link on the description of the show. Awesome. So, for all of our audience out here that had not listened to your show, do you mind giving them like a rundown of what the show is all about and where you guys are located all over?
Yeah, we're both two Star Trek podcasters who also waited a long time to watch Babylon 5. We just started 2 years ago. So we're a little bit ahead of you, Rob. So we've got that going for us.
But it's not just that, though, Jeff. You and I somehow have managed to make it all the way through unspoiled to the whole show.
Oh, wow.
Which only really, please don't. We're so close. We have like 11 episodes left and then we're done. Then we can do anything. But it only matters because the history of the show is such that the guy who wrote the show had the full 5-season arc like already planned out, and the whole thing is pre-planned from start to finish. And so it typically I wouldn't care that much about spoilers, but like,
Battle Galactica, that's the second version. I can't
So-
call it.
yeah,
It is safe to say that there's a lot of epiphany moments as you progress to the storyline because
mhm.
of things that happen that you saw already.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
and in
yeah.
fact, I'll say like there's the epiphanies that happen of like, oh my gosh, that thing that we thought was dumb and a throwaway line turns out to be the biggest deal ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
there when we start talking about the episode, there's a kind of throwaway line they make that actually leads to 3 of the greatest episodes of all television of all time. And
Yeah.
it's just this little line they throw out in here. It's so
I-
cool. But part of
I
what we
call it
do,
ninja foreshadowing.
oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Part of
Keep
what
in
Brent and
mind.
I do, though, that's unique to other podcasts that watch, shows for the first time, is we flex our Star Trek podcaster muscles and and we dive in and try to analyze the show and find what we used to call the Star Trek messages, but are really those sci-fi messages. Sci-fi is so good at being able to show us how to be better people, how to, just hold a mirror up to society in a way that
Mhm.
really challenges us. And so we're watching Babylon 5 through that lens, which is something that no one ever thought the show was necessarily intended to do. Turns out it's got some really, really powerful messages that are delivered so
Lovely.
beautifully. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So, with that being said, I think our very own mad scientist has a question.
Well, I can ask lots of people this week. So what sci-fi IPs have you guys been watching this week? Obviously, Babylon 5, but anything else? Oh, yes, Captain finishing Voyager over there.
Well,
I know what you've been up to.
yes, we are actually halfway through season 6 of Voyager. So it's really exciting. We're really coming very
Wait.
close. Yes, and for all of you out there who are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you don't know what you're missing. And I have been reading the book from an anime that we covered on our previous episode, a dating sim. So I am
Oh, you're into the light novels.
the light novels. Yes.
Nice. There is so much more material in that show that like they're working on season 2 now, which will be the arc in another country where he goes off to study abroad. But oh my god, I love those novels. You think the show's good? You just wait.
So if you have not watched that episode, if you not watch or listen to that episode, just go back to our our back catalog, and you're gonna find Trapped in the Dating Sim. What was it? It's this Japanese animes.
Trapped in a dating sim. Life is tough for mobs.
It's so long.
How
But I
could
do-
you remember that, Robert?
I do have to report though that I think my wife finished the entire thing in about 3 days. She's really enjoyed that. So
If you guys like Zathras, you would like the main character in this show. He's such a prick.
Zathras isn't a prick. It's Zathras that's the prick.
Yeah, that's right. I was talking about Zathras, not
Yeah.
Zathras.
Okay. There you go.
and that is what I've been watching sci-fi related.
Yeah. What about you, Cass?
Me, I've been watching Kaiju number 8. So freaking good, man. And I think I'm gonna have to continue whatever I left off in the 4th episode in the mangas, which I think is like 6. I tried Metallic Rogue. I wanted to ask for your counsel, Ray, if
The
it's worth
almighty-
watching more or not.
Androids from Mars, man. Can't go past them.
Okay, so should I continue watching?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And Ninja Kamui, actually, I've been watching,
Ah, yeah.
which I definitely suggested to everybody here. That's a great show, man. What
Yeah.
about you,
Well, then-
Jeff and Brent? What sci-fi you guys been watching?
I'm not watching anything. I'm interacting right now with Mass Effect.
No,
Doing another
Ooh,
do another Mass
Games
Effect.
count. Games count. Any
Yeah.
sci-fi.
Cool.
you
Yeah.
like.
Doing
Sweet, man.
another dive through the trilogy. I did a full-on renegade playthrough and killed most of my squad in the suicide mission, and I felt really dude, it was so hard to do. It was so hard that now I'm having to go back and do a Paragon playthrough just to like, cleanse the soul.
Cleanse the
forever.
palate.
Yeah, well, it's deeper than the palate. Like the decisions you have to make to go. Oh my god, it is so hard to do. And then I'm reading
You
right
have
now.
convinced me to start the trilogy, man. I never finished it.
Oh, you got to finish it. It is
going to
one,
now.
it's perfect. Two, it's almost an analog exactly to Babylon 5. There are beat for beat scenes from Babylon 5 that they repeat in Mass Effect.
Wow.
Totally worth it. I'm also reading the book The Left Hand of Darkness right now by Ursula K. Le Guin, which is a fantastic book. It's pretty old, like from the 60s, but it's really good. It's about this Federation, basically. It's expanding, and they put people on the worlds to figure stuff out. And the guy's on this world where the inhabitants have no gender. And once every month, they enter Kemmer, where they randomly become either male or female. It changes what they are time to time so that they can reproduce. And,
wow.
Yeah, and especially for being in the 60s, like it's a fantastic read.
Nice.
I definitely gotta check it out. What about you, Brent?
My sci-fi is mostly related to the shows that Jeff and I are working on right now. Babylon 5 is the big one. We're also doing a watch through of Stargate. It's Jeff's first time going through Stargate. I've watched Stargate
seasons, man. You've got a lot of watching to do.
There's a lot there. Jeff and I have cracked the code, I think, on Stargate though, and how we do it. And we are flying through the recordings of it and just kind of building up a big backlog. We've been on a bit of a break lately for some other things going on in real life, but that has been a lot of fun. I'm going through that show for the first time, doing the thing we do at Babylon 5 where I'm looking for the sci-fi messages in Stargate, which I've never watched that show through that lens. So that's been fun. But Jeff's just doing I'm just watching it for the first time, learning what it's all about. So yeah, Babylon 5 and that. And then I just started a video game playthrough, which by the way, I've never played Mass Effect either. So Mass Effect for the first time is a coming soon planned addition to our YouTube channel, which will be a lot of fun because it has that tie-in that Jeff talked about. But I just started playing Star Trek Resurgence on Xbox, and I'm through like the first chapter right now, and it's really good. Really? Like really, really good so far. So I got
that.
There you go. So I've been enjoying that. Kind of in the very, very, very little free time that I get. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You're gonna feel at home here. I have not watched Stargate yet.
Cool. I watched the movie.
Robert and Ray are like full on Stargate.
Well, I watched the movie, not the shows. So I have the feeling that there's going to be another hashtag coming.
You should, yes. And just join Jeff and I in it and enjoy the whole show because it's truly a great show. Like, and the show is, I always say that the show picks up after the movie and follows the sequence of the movie, except for where the show says something different happened than what actually happened in the movie.
Reason why I stopped watching The Walking Dead.
Oh wow!
It pisses people off, but when they stick to the canon, to the story, people love it. People love it.
Yeah, I think I dropped out of Walking Dead when they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go for like the next 35 years," and I was like, "Guys, I need you to go somewhere with this. I can't. I'm not."
You were too
nice. Basically, zombies.
I stopped at the fight in the prison when the prison break happened. I stopped there because they detoured completely from the main story.
I think that's where I think that's right where I jumped off too.
Yeah,
was right there. Yeah.
Like most people that were going alongside comics with the show.
Yeah,
that's where they walked out because they detoured way too much from the main story.
Yep.
To the point that you could add 5-6 volumes just to catch up back into it, and it will mess up the backstory of everybody.
Wow. Yeah. And,
I read the comics till the time jump, and then I went, oh, I'm not really connected to it anymore.
Yep. I don't mind flashing my collection, brother.
so,
Here he goes. He's flexing. Everyone stand back.
oh boy,
Don't get hit.
Look at that.
nice.
But Rob, as a Star Trek fan, you'd have to watch
Oh, yeah.
SG1. Like I'm only in the 3rd season of watching it, but it's such a self-aware show, and it pokes so much fun and in really respectful ways, especially at Star Trek and a couple other franchises too. But if you like Star Trek at all, you will love SG1.
Awesome.
Dude, Babylon 5.
I-
Babylon 5 gets in a few good jabs at Star Trek too, though.
They sure
Like
do.
phenomenal jabs that you're like, oh my god, they said that. I can't believe they said that.
Nice.
SG1's got that Canadian. We'll just stick it to them. They won't mind so much.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
And
All
every
good fun, eh?
every world that they visit looks suspiciously like Western Canada.
Suspicious.
Ray, what sci-fi have you been consuming?
Yeah, Ray. We're
Well,
down.
of course, Babylon 5, but that's a given for the episode. Kaiju number 8 is a big fave of mine at the moment. I hadn't read the manga, and I watched the first 3 episodes of the anime and went, this isn't fast enough. I need to know what's going on. So I went to the manga and just smashed through about. I think they're up to chapter 103. In the translation, and I'm about halfway through what they've released so far, so I've still got plenty to go, but it's just got an amazing mix of humor and serious stuff. And like if you're a big fan of like kaiju movies like Godzilla and stuff like that, and Kong and stuff, check out Kaiju number 8, because it just basically takes that, turns it on its head, squishes it down on occasion, overpowers everything. It's just like, oh my god, so cool. But it's got an internal logic to it. Like the only way the humans can fight the kaiju is actually they've taken some of the really powerful ones down and turned their powers into powered suits and weapons that they use against the new kaiju that are showing up. So there's actually a kaiju number 6, which was the most powerful kaiju ever seen, and it was basically Godzilla. It was a big lizard thing that came out of the ocean. I mean, it's very respectful to sort of the kaiju genre, but it's got great comedy and serious stuff, and
Great
people
action.
struggling, and I really like the characters. I'm a big Kukuru fan, even though she's a bit of a bitch to start with.
Oh yeah, but you like Sundance, so no news there, right?
You wait the next couple of episodes of the anime, you'll find out her reasons, and she's got some really fucking good reasons.
I'm sure she got humbled too in this last episode.
Well, her father's actually the commander of the entire anti-kaiju defense force.
Yeah.
So she's under a shit ton of pressure. But
Yeah,
anyway,
she's like Sabine. I know. She's like Sabine.
I've been mainlining that, especially the manga. And I had another watch through of Alita Battle Angel, my 52nd, I think, watch through. Just trying to keep track, but I've watched it bits and pieces a lot for grabbing screenshots and things. You guys probably don't realize this, but I'm one of the influencers in the Alita Army, the Alita Battle Angel fan. Have you guys watched that show?
I have not.
Oh dear, we're gonna have to educate you.
Right. Here's another for the first time we've got coming up for us.
Yep.
It's like a whole thing,
you'll
like
be
it's a whole
impressed.
network or something now that Jeff and I have we don't know what we've started with this thing.
But I'm sure it's that they have watched Alita Battle Angel or Gumu. They know about it. I'm sure of it.
Well, they might know about it, but they haven't sunk their teeth into it yet.
Yeah. So if you watch Alita, the movie, and when you get to it, if you get to the end and want a part 2, you're already part of the Alita army.
Okay.
It's a very low bar to join the fandom. You just want more.
We have something like that we don't talk about. That we don't tell people how to get into. We don't tell people what what it is. We don't explain it. It just it is what it is. And if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
Yep.
And it's a whole part of our it's like our whole 65 episode thing that we got going
Thing.
on. So
Mhm.
yeah.
If you get there, you know.
Yeah. If you have to ask, is this it? Then no, you
Nope.
don't know. Yeah.
We do use the hashtag if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Fairly
Yeah.
regularly.
But to your point, it's actually a very low bar to
Yeah.
get there. You just got to find it. Like it's like if you find it, you're in. That's it.
Yeah,
Period.
that's it.
Nice.
Like geocaching with sci-fi.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So should we go into our next segment, or are we missing
Yeah,
something?
we better start pushing them through, or we're gonna have like a 5-hour podcast.
Here we go. Our science fiction remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is SciFi.
And guys, for This is Sci-Fi, I don't know if you guys remember, but Robert actually created a hashtag that we use in all the social medias that you can think of. I mean, show me one where you don't use hashtags. I think
We need to get the B5 for the first time guys on that list.
the what?
Us.
Oh
We need-
yeah,
we
we
need
like
to add
that.
them guys. Them
Yeah.
guys.
yes.
We like
Onto
that
that
idea.
Well, let me explain, Gio. Let me explain for all our new listeners here what happened. What is the origin of the hashtag? So when we started this podcast, I am a fan of everything sci-fi, right? I love everything sci-fi. I love Star Trek. I
Shock.
love Star Wars. I love everything that has to do
Don't
with
forget Doctor Who. Don't forget Doctor Who. too.
Doctor Who, Battlestar
I
Galactica.
mean, you had to find something longer than
Rick and
Star
Morty.
Trek somewhere, right?
So here's the thing, right? I went online and I found all my communities. Great. It's fantastic. I can talk Star Trek in the Star Trek community. I can talk Star Wars in the Star Wars
Mhm.
community. But there wasn't a hashtag where all sci-fi community comes together. So I figured, okay, let me go ahead and start putting the hashtag this is sci-fi and everything sci-fi that I post. And I encourage other people, if you're a creator, if it could be books, it could be podcasts, you could be a director of a movie, whatever it is, whenever you post, you could use the hashtag this is sci-fi at the end of your post or whatever.
The more successful you are, the better.
And here's the thing. Years after we have used this hashtag for years now, this is one of the examples that just tickles me to death. Is we all know the story about this one guy that hates Star Trek and they love Star Wars, or they hate Star Wars and they are a Star Trek fan who hates Star Wars, or they're a Star Wars fan who hates Star Trek, right? For whatever reason, it's okay. We all have our rights to, we have our likes, right? And that's
Mhm.
okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So here's the thing. I have seen where someone, and it could be, Galactica, it could be Babylon 5, right? Someone who actually loves say Star Wars, for example, and they post and put the hashtag this is sci-fi. I have seen someone that is a Star Trek fan follow the hashtag, read that comment from a Star Wars passionate fan, and they were driven by the passion to curiosity. And now they love Star Wars. And that tickles me to death. And that is the reason why we started the hashtag. It is to share, right? We all have that passion. We all have that one thing we love the most. It could be something that you follow as a fan, or it could be something that you created as a creator, and you want to share it with the world. So it's amazing that we can go in there, we can share what we love, we can share what we created, put in the hashtag, and let other people discover you. Because we all have reached the end. I know Star Trek is long, right? And I have seen a lot of rewatch.
You don't say.
And I'm currently doing a rewatch right now, but I have prior to this rewatch, I have done other rewatch. And once you're done, right? And I'm sure I can guarantee you that after I finish Babylon 5, there's gonna be that emptiness in your heart. So this is a time when you go into this is sci-fi, you see what other people are talking about and kind of give it a chance to something that cuts your eye. And that's a call out that I do to all of you out there who if you're listening to this and you're a sci-fi lover or if you're a sci-fi creator, give it a try. This is sci-fi and use the hashtag. Use it. It's for everyone and everyone. I enjoy it myself. So
You
whenever
know how I use it? You know how I use it? Whenever I feel that sadness because a favorite show came to an end, and I can find my rebound binge watch new show. You know? Just by using this is sci-fi.
So I'm sorry I hijacked your comment there, Chaos, but I
Oh
just
no, that's totally fine, man.
I felt I have to mention the reason behind it for all of all the new people out there listening.
Of course,
Uh,
of course.
So anything that anyone would like to add before we move on to the other segment? Chaos or Ray?
No, I think that we can move on to the new one. I just told you that's my trick to find new rebound binge watch TV series. and
If I
shows.
can just say, I love that. That is amazing. That's absolutely so cool. Like Jeff and I think it's one of the things we share in common. Like we love sci-fi, and that's why we look and we say now we look for the sci-fi messages because sci-fi as a genre is uniquely positioned to do these things that we like to look for. It's just sort of the angle, it's the lens we're watching shows through for the podcast. But you know, sharing the love, getting people out there, and not being oh, I'm this guy and I'm in this camp and I can only like this. That's dumb. That's stupid. You can like multiple things, you know, and especially if it's within the same, you know, the same genre. But I just, yeah, that's so cool, man. I like that. That's dope.
It's so true. The other day was Star Wars Day, right? You know, may the 4th be with you. And I literally had a friend be like, hey, happy Star Wars Day. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Like, they were afraid they offended me. And I'm like, bro, I love Star Wars. Like, what's wrong with that?
Space fantasy has its place.
Totally. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh my god, brother.
But yeah, you know that is the whole point. That is the whole point of this whole thing is the ability to share and share alike. You know, you'd be amazing how many people you can encounter. Number one, people that have watched the thing you love or the thing that you create and engage in a conversation, or number two, people that have never watched that one thing you created or that you are a fan of, and all of a sudden they have questions or they're curious and they want to give it a chance.
The funny thing is that when you come with your questions, you're just gonna be found with more questions in return.
This podcast came out of discussions that these two chuckleberries were having on the couch watching a movie that was, you know, like an hour and a half long, and 4.5 hours later they're still 3/4 of the way through it because they keep pausing and talking about it. And they went, hey, maybe there's some other chuckleberries on the internet who would like to listen to us crap on like this. And so here we are.
There you go.
It's actually interesting because we have actually mentioned this in previous episodes, but a very own mad scientist here, Ray, was a fan on season 1 and came as a host for season 2.
I had to come and fix a few things. They were getting stuff there.
Set them straight.
We didn't need a scientist here. The voice of reason.
You're almost outnumbered. There's 2 scientists in here now.
Yeah.
Almost outnumbered.
Almost.
Well, and before we move on to the next segment, Robert, I want to remember everybody, you can always call to our hotline, and the number is 1-305-563-6334, 1-305-563-6334, and you can leave us a message if you have questions you would like us to answer. We'll be happy to play your message and answer your question on our very next episode. So give us a call.
Awesome.
And Chaos is waiting for his first hate mail. So come on, guys. There's got to be somebody
Yeah,
out
man.
there who can take umbrage with what Chaos has to say.
Choco Nuggets, chocolate there.
Yeah.
Can I
needs
take
his
that
own
name?
moniker.
You can take any other name you want to be Chuckleberry. I'm cool with that, but you cannot have
Chaos,
Chuckle
man.
Nugget. That's me.
Chuckle
No,
Nugget is
I'm saying that
his
you
word.
took the lead. I'm giving you the merits. You took the lead
Chuckle
in there.
Nugget is his word. Only he can use that word.
I want
We
a
got
quarter every
told the
time somebody
story
says it.
behind the scenes before we started. We should have recorded that. That was great.
Awesome. Okay, so we're ready for the next segment.
Shout outs. I want to mention one very special collaborator and content creator that I actually like very much myself. And Robert likes to. Deeds from the amazing show Space Castle on YouTube. He's also on all audio formats: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Pods. Go and check him out. Always fun to watch and always bring amazing insight about shows and IPs that we all love. If you haven't paused and go and subscribe to the channel, just do it and take us later. And that'll be all for today's shout outs, Robert.
Awesome. So then we can move on to the next segment.
De Alita Army News.
Every time you do that. Dear. Well, just so you guys are aware, the top row is a big fan of both the movie Alita Battle Angel and the source manga Gumu, or Battle Angel Alita in English. And basically, the Alita Army is a group of fans. It's probably the friendliest fandom on the internet, I think, which is why I'm so involved with it. But it's a bunch of very good people who just want a sequel. And we've got to convince Disney. They're a bit thick-headed, so it takes a little while. But hi. I'm being nice. I could say much worse. But
You're not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong.
He's doing his very best not to get us canceled.
I appreciate that so much.
I don't want to be canceled, but anyway. So you probably haven't heard about it, but the Alita Army has a channel on YouTube called, strangely enough, the Alita Army channel.
Whoa.
Yeah, shocking, isn't it? And we try and run a live stream once a week called Radio Chaos, not to be confused with this guy here. But yeah, it's called Radio Chaos, who's actually one of the characters.
It's written differently, though. Well, no, it's written the same way.
KAOS.
Yeah,
rather than the
same way.
But we've actually been covering the original manga, which the beginning of which was part of the basis for the first movie, and the short anime that was available as well. We're up to episode 212, so we've been going at this for a few years. And we covered Gumu, which is the Japanese name for the manga, Angel of Death, Hellbeast Journey 4, Dog Eat Dog. And just so you guys get an idea of who the character is, I will share this. That is Alita. Can't be too upset about that. She's got the uwu.
I don't know why. I can't help but hear in the back of my head, Hips Don't Lie by Shakira.
You could well say that, but Yukita Kishiro is a fantastic mangaka. His drawings have so much vitality and movement in them. And this was drawn back in the 90s. In fact, this was coming out when B5 was running on TV. So yeah, it was a while back. But as you can see here, very well drawn, great characters, lots of action. There's a building falling on them because shit happens.
If I had a nickel for every time that happened to me, I would be completely broke.
Just as well.
So
but yeah, it's dark futuristic cyberpunk, and it's a fantastic story. It's a lot of depth to it. Those guys are socket soldiers. Their only biological part is their head, and they get screwed into these bodies and they're sent off to fight. And of course, Alita being a practitioner of Panzerkunst, which is a martial art for cyborgs that came from Mars,
It's Martian
she
Wing Chun.
basically kicks the crap out of them. Gets very violent here in a second.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's one thing about that. It's very gruesome.
Am I the
You've got
only
to have
person that? Am I the only person that always reinforces is his Martian Wing Chun?
There's a bit of Wing Chun in there.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I realized that Disney came out with the movie. So I didn't know what to expect, but the movie came out really good.
Well, Disney didn't make it. 20th Century Fox made it. It was the last release from 20th Century Fox before they got bought out. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is a great manga. It's still being written 30 years later, so it's still going.
So enjoy while you can.
Highly recommend you check it out. Look, Kishiro, the mangaka, is only 2 years older than me, so don't go saying anything.
Hey man, I'm just saying it because it's over for me with Berserker. It's over, man. You know, they're not gonna write anymore. The guy died.
Oh wow. Okay. So are we ready, guys? Are we ready to like?
I'm not sure. I've been waiting for this for so long. I mean, we've had a lot of finalies recently, like certain scientific railgun, which took nearly 2 years to convince you to watch.
Ray. This might be the last time.
Yeah,
it all hinges on Robert because you've got to go pry him out of Star Trek. It takes so long.
Oh, okay. So before we continue, we have a thing, and that thing is
we usually read a plot and then just derail in the middle of it.
Yeah,
it happens so many times.
It's the plot. Hopefully. So.
Yes, we have a plot. In fact, you copied and pasted in a Notion for me. Thanks very much. Guys, I read the plot generally because I'm actually an author, so I'm big on plots and storylines and stuff like that. So I'm very eager.
I'm very eager to see how you deliver the plot for this opus.
Well, I don't smoke nor do I drink, so I can't sound like the movie voiceover guy, unfortunately. You just have to put up with
try to achieve some kind of David Attenborough
tone. Well, if you want to do it like that, Robert, we'll just all sit here and feel like we're in a deep hole or something like that.
No, but I want to do it like this. This is how I want to read it.
Jeff, that's how the gold voice is
not
made
afraid
right there,
to use
dude.
it.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to do this every time I want to be a gold anymore. I could just hit the thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I've been dying for one of those. I think I'm gonna get one of those.
It says in the Earth year. Oh, in the Earth year. I should really read this properly, shouldn't I? In the Earth year 2257, a multitude of humans and non-humans gather deep in neutral space at a new station, Babylon 5, which has recently become operational. I should mention that anybody who hasn't watched Babylon 5, watch it. That's the first thing. The second thing is what happened to the other 4 stations? Well, the first 3 got sabotaged. Yay. And the fourth one, a day after it came online, disappeared without trace, and nobody knows.
Foreshadow, probably.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
That's what I thought when I heard that. That's what I thought.
Jeff, do you know what foreshadowing is?
No, not aware. I think though, for foreshadowing to work, you have to know what it's shadowing. It's not effective until it's forward.
Well, my brain told me that thing is coming back. It's gonna show up somewhere. That's what I thought when I heard that, and I just watched this episode.
Can neither confirm nor deny
at all.
You know, now it feels like Robert and I are civilians, and you 3 guys are like Secret Service. So whenever you see some kind of barrier of information, something you guys know that is a spoiler, you're gonna be like, cannot confirm or deny.
I'll just wear all black and call myself Psychor and everything's fine. Yes. So Babylon 5 has recently become operational. It was built as a neutral venue for discussing and resolving issues between the 5 major spacefaring races of the galaxy: the humans, Narn, Centurion, Minbari, and Vorlons. Commander Jeffrey Sinclair is an overall charge of the station. As the crew awaits the arrival of the 4th and final alien ambassador, anyway, I won't spoil.
Right? We thought the same thing when we were rewatching. Like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, anyway. Ambassador Kosh from the Vorlon Empire, a transport ship arrives from Earth bearing Lita Alexandra, a human telepath who joins the station crew with her really big 80s style epaulets.
For the record, and let me know who doesn't agree. She was hot.
If you like rangers, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Keep watching. I would say keep watching the show. Gets better.
And Del Varna, a civilian. So Del came in on the same ship as Lita. Ambassador Kosh arrives 2 days ahead of schedule and is on board the station in less than a minute when he suddenly falls ill, apparently from poisoning. Babylon 5's chief medical officer, Dr. Kyle, conducts a medical investigation and seeks to prevent Kosh's death, while security chief Michael Garibaldi, I love Garibaldi, he's so cool, conducts a security investigation. Worried that if Kosh died, the Vorlons would attack and destroy the station. I should mention that Vorlon's one of the ancient races, so they're way more powerful than everyone else, except for one. But we don't know about them yet.
Yeah, that's debatable, right? No,
Dr. Kyle and Lieutenant Commander Takashima persuade Lita to perform an unauthorized mind scan on the unconscious Kosh. As she conducts the scan, Lita sees Commander Sinclair poisoning the ambassador. Lita accuses Sinclair of attempted murder. Not very trusting, this mob. A meeting of Babylon 5's council, made up of delegates from all 5 races, resolves to extradite the commander to the Vorlon homeworld for trial. Sinclair is told that he will be deported in 12 hours. So, yep, the commander's blamed for the poisoning, and they're going to ship him off. He's not having a good week. I should mention that his lift lost power and he was stuck in it. So that's why he arrived late. So that's why they suspect him. It's not mentioned in here. So where was I? Later enters the medical lab. Hang on. No, I've jumped too far.
I mean, he had a perfect alibi, though, to be honest. He was banging things out with his friend.
I know what you're talking about there.
Yep.
That's a perfect alibi right there.
He was getting his ending, back when you could have sex on television.
Cheat. That's one thing.
Garibaldi comes to suspect Del Varna might have been involved in Kosh's poisoning. When he enters Varna's quarters, however, he discovers Varna dead in a fish tank. Later enters the medical lab, where she begins adjusting some of the settings that are keeping Kosh alive. When Dr. Kyle realizes what she's doing, he tries to stop her and she attacks him. At that moment, the real Lita Alexander enters the room. Her double escapes. Bum, 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 bum.
Like one of them was not hot enough, man. They gave you 2.
Stereo. Upon further investigation in Varna's quarters, Garibaldi learns that Varna had been smuggling illegal items between systems and that he most recently had gone to the Antari sector to acquire a changeling net, a device that can make an individual appear to look like somebody else. The crew realizes that Kosh had not been poisoned by Sinclair when he arrived at the station, but by someone using a changeling net to imitate Sinclair. Since the use of such a device would put out a lot of energy, Takashima uses the station's scanners to pinpoint an area of the station with a high concentration of unidentified energy use. Sinclair and Garibaldi head for that part of the station, kitted out like stormtroopers, just about. Just as the Vorlon squadron arrives in the vicinity of the station to pick up Sinclair for his voyage to the Vorlon homeworld. Sinclair and Garibaldi confront the mysterious assailant. Garibaldi is injured in the firefight, and Sinclair faces the assassin himself. The changing net is disabled, revealing that the assailant to be a Minbari assassin. The assassin is a member of the Minbari warrior caste and wanted to discredit Sinclair as retribution for Sinclair's role in the Earth-Minbari War 10 years earlier. Sinclair asks the assassin why he did it, and the assassin replies simply, "There is a hole in your mind." Sinclair, being informed that the assassin has triggered an explosive charge, manages to get away just before the explosion rips a hole in the station's hull, throwing the station off its axis and beginning to tear it apart from the inside. Takashima uses the station's stabilizing thrusters to re-establish its axis. Meanwhile, the Vorlons were about to shoot it, but then had to piss off out of the way because the station came at them.
Piss off out of
like
the
a
way.
giant baseball bat. The Vorlon delegation, now satisfied that Sinclair is innocent, drops all charges against him. In the station's garden, Sinclair reveals to Delenn what the Minbari assassin has said about the hole in Sinclair's mind. Delenn claims it is just an old Minbari insult. Sinclair, however, tells her that he had fought in the climactic battle of the Earth-Minbari War, and that there is a 24-hour period in that climactic battle just before the Minbari surrendered, which he can't account for. Takashima declares Babylon 5 open and operational. Roll credits.
Nice.
So that is the plot. We decided to put the plot in because these two guys would just start talking and there was no context, and it was kind of like, what?
It makes sense.
What are you talking about?
Why we started doing it.
Exactly. I got to be honest. I'm dying, Rob, to hear your for the first time reaction.
Well, let me go ahead and say this, right? Because I have heard a lot about this episode and how it doesn't, measures up to, season 1, right? And it's okay because, that's usually what happens on pilots, right? I would have to say that, and I don't know if this is going to be a surprise or not, but I liked it.
Really?
I really did. I did realize the difference in the CGI. It gave it. I noticed the difference because I kind of started watching season 1, episode 1 to kind of gauge the difference between the two episodes, which I was able to see. I mean, you could see the uniforms has changed.
Hey, they got an ops officer that wasn't a plank of wood.
Yeah. I don't know if you have actually listened to our previous episode, the Last Starfighter, but when I was watching, which actually I love that movie,
Oh yeah.
I got vibes on this episode when it comes to CGI to that. Granted, it was better. It's definitely better than the Last Starfighter. But I got the vibes on CGI on this. I was kind of worried about our very own Captain Chaos because we did the watch party today, and we both watched it. So by the way, if you are not on our Discord channel, that's one of the things that you are going to miss out. We occasionally have watch parties where we just get together and watch a thing. And that's what we did today. So I invite you guys to join if you're following the YouTube channel, you can just scan it. Or if you're listening to the audio portion of the pod, there's going to be a link to in the description. But we had the watch party today. So I kind of worry about Arion Captain Chaos, because if you follow the show from season 1 or whatever, that Captain Chaos, at least in season 1, was very opposed to bad CGI. Extremely opposed.
It was a process, man.
To campiness.
No, the problem is that Robert jumped in also full on hardcore on me. Like, he went from good CGI, like the Avengers movies, to let's watch a 1954 Star Trek where you can see the flaws hanging on the toy in the space.
Effects have come a long ways.
Well, that's
sure.
not CGI. That's SFX, which
right.
is different.
Yeah, no. He went like full hardcore cold turkey on me too.
But Rob, I'm fascinated by the CGI thing, especially Last Starfighter, because epic film, by the way. So
Oh
good.
yes,
But the
That's a
fighters,
fighter.
if you continue to watch Babylon 5, the fighters, you will recognize a similar design that happens with them. So I think that's a cool thing for you to look forward to. But I have to tell you, one of the things in the first season of Babylon 5, I got a lot of heat for from our listeners was that CGI is inexcusably bad. Like, I thought it was horrible. And people will tell you, and it's impressive. They rendered everything on a bank of Amiga computers.
Oh,
Like, they
no.
were, so like they were trying really hard, and people were just like, they were trailblazers. They were, first to do something at this scale on television.
This is pre Toy Story.
Yes,
when they're doing
that's,
this.
That's really important.
You know what it looks to me? You guys remember Star Fox in Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
The polygon fighter thing.
It looks a lot better than that. You know?
There's that, yes.
But it doesn't look realistic.
It doesn't.
What you have to remember is, for comparison, this is 7 years before,
no.
6 years before The Phantom Menace, which was when Lucasfilm really got into CGI.
That was pivotal for the whole thing.
Industrial Light and Magic. So, I mean, this, for its period and what it is between, Last Starfighter and Phantom Menace, it's pretty good. I mean, I was always very impressed, but the designs, just the way that the CGI came out aside, the designs are brilliant with the rotating sections on the human ship, capital ships, and they're talking about the station that has variable rotations to simulate different gravities for different species. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are designs that, like, not giving too much away, but some of the fighters that come out in later episodes, NASA actually was interested in the design on those, and apparently, like, they're legit outside of like the nuclear reactor or whatever that powers them, but just from like the way they demonstrate them and whatnot, they're like, yeah, this 100% is how it would work in space.
And vectored fighters rather than like, and I have to Star Wars people will hate me, but bullshit dog fighting in space with X-Wings and TIE fighters. It's got no physics relativity whatsoever. Whereas the ships in this show are vectored fighters, so you can be flying in a direction, use thrusters to spin around and shoot backwards.
Yep,
and you're still going forwards.
Yeah.
Forwards is
it's great.
The direction you were originally traveling, and shit like that. I mean, it made sense, and it's actually physically accurate.
I do want to say, if I could, Rob,
go ahead,
just to defend you a little bit, and even Captain Chaos. We can say all we want for the time, and considering what they were doing, bad effects are still bad effects.
Yep.
Like, it's okay to be like, yeah, that didn't look really good. Sure, they were just getting it started, but that wouldn't look good. I will tell you, as you go on, though, they get a lot better.
So much better.
A lot better. Noticeably better. To the point where you're like, that's really good.
I believe it.
They probably got to buy some more Amigas. Making some money.
Well, I think a thing to keep in mind with this episode specifically, The Gathering, I don't know if this is actually true, but in my headcanon, it makes everything make sense. Where J. Michael Straczynski, JMS, wrote the whole thing, and they said, yes, make the pilot. How much is it going to cost? And he goes, $600,000. And they said, okay, here's $50. What can you do? And when you have that in mind, this episode is amazing. What they were able to pull off.
Well, lucky it wasn't made out of straws, huh?
It's not far.
No, it was made out of wood.
Out of wood. Even some of the actors.
You can notice like the genius, highest IQ explosion of being resourceful. With your parts, so they go more into practical effects. And I mean, I wanted to say, like, it's not fair really to compare it to Steven Spielberg, the freaking titan of the industry, but it makes sense then because it's so good. It incrementally became better because it got more following, and then they got better funding to do it. And then it's so resourceful. Imagine when they have their resources, actually to do it, they will excel at it. It makes so much sense.
before we move forward into the conversation, I like
I
that
got
very
something
first.
to show you before you get off that point. There's a wooden Babylon 5.
No.
Okay, just saying, they do exist.
Made out of
It's made out of
wood.
wood.
So
Oh
I guess
my.
we are at the point in the show where we ask the very first question, the question. Our very own Captain Chaos loves that the three questions that we ask. So the question that we ask, and I think I like to start with either me and Gio, and then move on to the other guys, because if you follow the show, you know what the question is going to be. And the question is, how old were you, and what was your very first impression when you watched the episode that we just watched today? Since we are a day old, me and
Yeah.
Gio, in this episode, I think it's only fair for us to go first, and then move on to only because we don't want to get influenced by your responses, which I'm sure.
Rover is very prone to that. I am not.
So I guess you want me to go, Gio, or you want to go first? Okay. So
Don't
my
attain your perception.
yeah, don't. So I was, like I said, I was a day old when I watched this episode. My first impression was wow, right? I and hear me out. I know the episode is not as best as the IP could get.
It's
Um,
not peak.
it's not peak, right? But I was impressed. Not necessarily for the CGI, although I do appreciate the CGI brought a little nostalgia, so it actually did help for me. But I was amazed with the story,
Hey,
and
hey, for the record, I don't know if you recalled, but we watched like half an episode of the first episode after we watched The Gathering.
yes, we did.
And you
We
can
did.
see the noticeable upgrade
Very
on
noticeable.
like the set, like the costumes and everything. That everything looks so much different. So you could say already from the pilot to the first episode, there's a giant jump, and that's like,
Giant.
whoa, wait, what's
They
going
got
on?
$100 instead of $50. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
They actually bought them some lights instead of just
Yeah.
using the ambient sconce lights they'd put up.
Yeah.
Did you see how wobbly some
good.
of those doors were? I thought they were going to fall on them.
Right?
It was good. It was good.
So to finish my thought here, my very first impression is I love how engaging the story was, to the point where and this is something that I really appreciate from IPs, especially when I'm starting the IPs, is having a lot of questions and getting kind of, let me say it this way, foreshadowing as to how I know what I will have the answer later. It's kind of like you could see it. Like, for example, and this is something you guys probably would definitely know. Um, um, then I forgot the name of Mumbari, best
Delenn.
friend of the commander. Delenn, yes. How every time she talks, and I really appreciate this from the actress who performed that, because I could see how, in everything she was saying, she was not saying something else.
Yep.
And it was very, like, I don't want to say obvious, right? But you could tell something was up, right?
Yeah, very campy way.
She's telling you, but she's refraining from telling you the whole thing.
Mhm.
And it was in every scene. And things like that, I really appreciate in the story. And how there's so many questions out there that I have. And the reason why I love that about an IP, especially when you're beginning an IP, is because that would be my motivation to keep watching. Only because I want to know. There's questions out there. I can see where kind of like this might be going. I want to know what happened, because I have no clue what's going to happen after that. And I really, really appreciate that. Plus, I can't go wrong with having one of my teenage crush on an episode, which I'm really sad to say she doesn't continue, or at least I don't think, based on my
Well, it's
perspective.
not that bad that you're not being unbiased about your opinion.
It's Tamlin Tomita. She's from Karate Kid.
Rob did it all for the glory of love.
Exactly. So that was my first impression.
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly.
Oh, this is the drum technique.
Drum technique. Okay, Gio. So, what is your first impression? Because I mean, we already know we are a day old.
Well, what I was mentioning in the pre-show, actually, this show might get me watching it because I love how bold they are about not pulling punches about any social topics. They just throw it in there. You know, it's like no filters. There's no safe spaces in here. And that's the environment where we all got raised. You know, we got raised in no safe spaces. You know, you deal with it, and it opens so much feel to more thought-provoking conversations about character development. So I really did like that was kind of like the premise of the show in between characters. I don't know what Robert thought of the ambassador, the guy that was drinking all the time. But to me, he's a piece of shit manipulator. Like he's self-pity. Oh, we've become a tourist attraction, speech. I was like, this guy is a piece of shit.
Londo. Londo.
I
will
can't
tell
wait
you
for you to
this.
watch this.
I will tell
It's
you
like
this.
it's like he would. It's like the monkey dances for the silver, and he's the monkey. He would dance for whoever allows him to.
Listen, everybody, if you're listening to the show, you know where to redirect your hate mail, right?
True or not?
No, it's not hate mail. Not hate mail at all. This is
ironic?
nascent. This is nascent Londo. Like I was gonna say, this is getting to know Londo. And Rob, this is not where a lot of people come in with Londo. So I mean, I am so excited now for you to dive into this.
Listen, I will tell you this. If I were to be cast in the reboot,
yeah,
Londo is the character I want to play.
Oh, nice.
He is the character I want to play.
Let me tell you something. These guys have heroes. I don't have heroes. I like villains. And one thing that I can attest is when an actor earns the dislike of the audience, he went above and beyond as an actor. It's like King Joffrey. Like, who doesn't hate that piece of crap? It was so good when he died on screen in such agony. But then I was like, whoa, he's a great actor. I hated it.
He did it so well. He got so much hate that he quit acting because of it.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Because he got so much hate. But listen, I'm telling you, Peter Jurisic, the guy who plays Londo, he did a cameo for us, Jeff, that was phenomenal.
So he did it in character, a lot of it.
I will tell you, he earns everything he gets, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, perfect.
He and the guy that plays Jakar, Andreas Katsoulis, those two in a room talking are the show. Rob or
Ray.
Yeah, I'm still learning all your names.
Okay. Geo, Chaos, Ray, and Robert.
Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? Like, just Lano and Jakar, dude, they are, oh my gosh, they are gold. Every
The
time
hilarious thing is that the very next person I was going to mention that I don't like very much is Jakar. That makes how good of an actor.
Whether you like them or not, those two on a screen, in screen together, gold.
Yeah.
Every time.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
I got to say that you're quite right about their nascent characters. They're not very well fleshed out and developed over the course of this episode, but given 5 seasons, you get a lot more nuance and depth to the characters, and they're both really good characters. I mean, they follow methodologies that aren't necessarily nice, but their hearts are in the right place, but they're diametrically opposed, so they can't help but have friction.
I would say they are two of the, I'd say, top 10 characters in all of sci-fi, maybe even top 5.
I would agree with that.
I think their interaction carries a show in a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
And I would have to agree with that. And this is coming from someone that's never watched until today, Babylon 5, because those two characters are so recognizable to me as a person that's never watched it. So that means a lot.
Yeah.
That means a lot. So let me bring the question back up again, and then it would be up to you guys who wants to go first. But the question is, how old were you when you watched this first episode, and what was your first impression, not accounting for things that happen after the fact?
The oldest bastard will go last, so I'll let our guests go next.
I'll go unless you want to do it, Brent.
Sure. I was 41 years old when I watched my very first episode of Babylon 5. And
it was 18 years ago.
Getting that injectable testosterone works really well.
Yeah.
You know, keeps aging at bay. Botox. Yeah, it's just a couple years ago when we first started the show, and oh my gosh, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Babylon 5 for me is top 3 sci-fi favorite series ever, and I'm not even through the series yet, but it is a top 3 favorite franchise in sci-fi. So yeah.
Don't rush, you'll miss it when it's gone. Trust me on that.
I don't want to. We're doing our best not to rush it. Like we are plotting it. But I am so looking forward to Babylon 5 for the second time.
Yeah.
When we get to go back to the beginning and see everything that was laid out before us and make all the connections and see the growth, knowing where the characters are going at the end.
The aha moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and here's the thing. So prior to doing this show, I did another show called Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast, where I had a friend of mine who'd never seen any Star Trek, and we did this thing where we kind of speed ran through the original series up through the Berman era of Star Trek. And there were some episodes that these are marquee episodes in Star Trek. Jeff likes to actually tell this story too. Marquee episodes of Star Trek, phenomenal. City on the Edge of Forever, Duet. Those are the two that come to mind, but lots of others. And my guy would just sit there and watch it as a very first time watcher, and he'd just be like, meh. I'm like,
He just
what?
doesn't get it.
What are you doing?
Get it.
But it forced me to sit back and go, wait, what was my reaction the very first time I saw it?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm being honest, I think that first reaction was meh. And it's only through watching it again and again and again and talking about it in the fandom that my appreciation for it has risen. And so there's a lot of going through Babylon 5 where I'm going, okay, I'm here on this show. Now I want to go back and do it a second time and see what all of those places are and just see how amazingly awesome the show really is. That pick up on all the stuff that I'm gonna feel stupid about, stuff I said during the first run.
Right.
It reminds me what I feel like when I am on Lord of the Rings stuff, in between reading the books and watching the whole thing chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like.
I went through the same thing with Blade Runner, the original movie.
Yep.
Because I saw it when I was 12 and at the cinema, and I was like, huh? What is this? You got to be ready for it. You got to have a mind that's evolved enough to be ready. And, you know, I watch Blade Runner now and it's just like, oh my God, this thing is just so good.
Yeah.
Why did they ruin it with a sequel? I don't
Nice. Okay, so who's next?
I'll go. So it was 2 years ago. I was 45, and I watched this maybe a week or two before Brent watched it, because I started watching it, and what launched our podcast was that I started watching it, and then I like tweeted out, "Hey, it took me 30 years, but I'm watching it," and the tweet absolutely blew up. And I was like,
could Robert borrow that tweet? Because he could probably use it.
Yeah, right? It's like, here you go. But I reached out.
It blew up. No, Jeff's not lying. It blew up.
I'm talking hundreds of thousands of likes and impressions. Like I was floored. I couldn't believe it. And in that moment, I'm like, I have to do something with this. And reached out. Brent, I'd been on Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast twice with Brent before, so we sort of knew each other, and we dove in. And we watched The Gathering, and then we've watched everything else. And like we said earlier, we've been fortunate with our community as a protection for us to stay spoiler free. But I remember watching The Gathering for the first time, and I came in with some preconceived notions, right? Like I when I was young when Babylon 5 first came out, and I was all Star Trek all the time.
Yeah.
And I probably sort of watched a little of it, and I just literally was like, oh, it's cheap knockoff Star Trek. I'm out. And I never went back. Just never went back to it.
Yeah.
And so I was watching The Gathering with an expectation of being disappointed. And I was not.
Do you like Galactica? If you
I
like
love Galactica.
Of course, you like then Babylon 5. Hell yeah.
Right. Yeah. But no, it's like the episode was the first time I watched it, exactly what you said, Rob. Like, it posed these questions that I couldn't wait to find out what was next. You know, just to hit on a couple of them, you talk about the hole in the mind that Sinclair had, 24 hours that were missing. There's these Vorlon that no one knows anything about, and we're curious about all. Apparently, when you see them, you never look at life the same again. You know, and all these things. The Babylon stations that blew up beforehand, and the one that disappeared into thin air. There's all these things that come up, and you're like, I want to know this telepath thing that's going on. What's this? So I was hungry. I got done. I was hungry to know more. And we dove in head first. I will say, then you dive in, and then it's an early 90s season 1 sci-fi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you grain of salt some of it, but oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you liked it and are wanting to move forward, because like, if you enjoy, I'll say from my experience, if you enjoyed this, it's nothing but an upward trajectory from here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's still a rocky first season though, till they find their feet.
But give me a show that's not named Stargate that doesn't have a rocky first season of 90s sci-fi. I'll wait.
Kind of what they do.
Yeah, I'll be looking for days. Don't worry.
Oh, and by the way, guys, the reason that Ray doesn't really like Blade Runner 2049 is this, guys. I want to show you now on show, so it's on record.
Oh boy,
he didn't like the outcome.
What's he gonna do to me?
Because he was the bad guy on it, you know. So he didn't like the outcome when Robert and I kick his ass.
What?
Wow.
I'm the bad guy.
Oh
Seriously?
my god!
And you were talking about the telepath, and I made a meme about her actually.
I'm a little concerned right now.
Yeah, you should be.
Do I need an adult here?
This is why we call him Chaos.
Wait.
Oh my god!
Wow. That's fair.
Oh, nice.
More memes to come throughout the show as conversation breaks them.
So that is the reason why you guys should follow us on YouTube. I'm telling you.
No one should have ever given him access to the meme generator. That was just a mistake.
Oh, man.
We can never take it back. Pandora's
look,
box
I
is
used to work in logistics, and I used to make memes for one of my favorite truck brokers. Every time that they were delayed or something, I would send them a meme that I would make for them for whatever was going on. And these guys will give me such good rates, and they will call me the meme king. So I will talk through memes.
That's awesome. Hey, Ray, as a first one, I'm dying to hear what you thought on your first time.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Way back in 1906. Well, actually, it was 1993.
Back in my day.
Where's your rocking chair? Come on.
I was actually. There we go. It rocks. Wow. Nice. Almost fell back off the chair. I hate this chair. That's why I always leave it locked in. But no, it's I was the ripe old age of 24 when this came out. I was watching it on a 4x3 cathode ray tube television.
He watched it on his prime.
Yeah. Watched it as it aired. And it was one of those, oh my God, I got to wait a week. What? Sort of things. And
good times.
Yeah. Like Robert and I are cut from a very similar cloth. I'm just a whore for sci-fi, and I have been since the year dot. I have I think it's in my bookcase. I have a book from the 70s here, which I used to read while I was going on holidays. My parents would decide every September to drive from a small town in New South Wales called Albury, where I grew up, which was at the bottom of New South Wales, all the way up New South Wales, and then across to what's called the Gold Coast. And that's where we would holiday. And I would get this book out of the library, and I would read it.
Nice.
This is the book. I actually found this book in a secondhand store.
The
and
Bible of sci-fi.
It's from a library.
Look at that. He's telling us that he actually just checked it out and he's still racking up late charges on it.
Guys, if you didn't know it, yeah, sci-fi is a religion, and that is the Bible.
And this is the Bible. No, this is reference only, so you can't check it out. But anyway, I still have it. But no, I saw this and I thought this is great. And this
we have a
this
criminal
is the sort of thing that I would be looking at. Oh, sorry. Where are the tripod?
Nice. Yeah.
And
War of the Worlds.
This is obviously War of the Worlds. But and that's the Thunderchild, which is about. Oh, sorry, that's the Thunderchild that's about to get melted. But I would be looking through these books, and it's got all these great 70s artworks that were done as covers for novels. Let's see.
Oh, that's beautiful.
See that?
Yeah.
But they're such beautiful pictures. I would just like daydream about. Oh yes, this one. This is one of the ones that's stuck in my head. So this is Pan Am on the side of that shuttle.
Oh, yes.
Pan Am doesn't exist anymore, damn it. But back in the 70s, it was a big airline.
It's a shame because they bought the rights to be the first, space company to take passengers out into space, and they went bankrupt.
But you don't need to feel too bad neither, because I think that Richard Branson is taking up to filling up that chair with his promises and all the advancements that he's doing on effort for Virgin Atlantic. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
That one reminds me of one of my favorite comic artists, actually, Frazetta.
But that's the book. It's Encyclopedia of Science Fiction, forward by Isaac Asimov. And it's a mid-70s print, I think.
A Nikon on Sci-Fi.
Yep. And that's the sort of shit that I was into when I was 7.
Awesome.
So I was at absolute the original Battlestar Galactica. I was a nut for that, and Star Wars and you name it. Some early animes like Battle of the Planets and
John Carter,
Space Battleship Yamato, Star Blazers. I was a big fan of all of those. Big Doctor Who fan in the 70s. So like I just couldn't get enough sci-fi. Sci-fi was my out. It was
when did you get tired of Doctor Who, Ray? When did you get tired? Of what year?
Oh, when it had the hiatus before it came back. Sort of mid 80s it stopped, or late 80s, and there was a gap of about 10 years, and then it came back again, and you guys in the US tried to do a version, and everybody was on the bandwagon there for a while. But that fantastic, really, really cheap sets and special effects. In fact, what we just watched reminded me a little bit of that,
totally.
shoestring budget sci-fi.
Yeah. I watched every Doctor Who since Rose until now.
Okay. Yep. Eccleston.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite was oh God, what's his name? The fellow with the great long scarf.
Yep. The fourth Doctor, I think.
Yeah.
Matthew Smith?
Yeah.
No, this is going way back.
This is back in the 70s.
He would wear like a broccoli on his lapel sometimes.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
He had K9 with him.
Mm-hmm.
I see. I am the outsider in here, huh?
Yeah. But I mean, I could not get enough sci-fi. So when Babylon 5 started, I was like, yeah, I'm down.
Hashtag Captain Chaos needs to watch Doctor Who. Just putting that out there.
It really does. But you need to go back and start with the black and white shit in the 60s.
Yeah.
That will really blow your mind.
I did the very first episode. But I think I'm getting ready to get a subscription to BritBox so I can start watching, because I have, aside from the very first episode of Doctor Who, the black and white version, I haven't seen any of the pre-Rose Doctor Who's. So I can't wait.
Lots to catch up.
Yes, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get them started.
So yeah, my impression, and I have to reach back into the annals of my mind to to
Lita
drag
can help
this
you with that.
forth. Yeah, I need to find a cute redhead who can read my mind. She'd probably run a mile if she did, but
Now,
yeah.
I wanna make a question for everybody, but I wanna hear first Jeff and Brent to kind of see what are their archetypes. Which are your favorite character? You can pick one.
Cool. Let's get that
And
after Ray gives
Robert
his
and Ray.
first impression. Ray's still got to give his impression.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish my first impression, dude.
Oh shit! Okay,
I was just orbiting back to it. It was a long
it's
orbit.
gonna be
I'm
his
sorry.
answer, bro.
I'm a comet. It was a long orbit.
I appreciate that comment.
Yeah. Comment. Anyway, so yeah, it was one of those, oh great, I found something cool to watch, and then I was sort of like, what's going on here? This is really complicated. And I mean, you kind of get that from the first episode because they throw a lot of shit at the wall in the first episode. There's all sorts of little hints and stuff, which, you know, watching it again just last night, I was like, oh yeah, there was that. Oh, and there was that. Oh, and there was, oh yeah. And yeah, Delenn, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. So it was just reminding, and I do think you guys are right that when you go back and do your second watch, there'll be a whole lot of ahas. It's like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah, just from watching The Gathering, we had that. We're just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool because blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's a deep show. It's got deep running subplots that show up 3 seasons later, and stuff that goes down. You go, oh, way back in the first season there was that, and so it's really well written. The designs of the ships are really good. The physics sort of holds together pretty well, which I like because when they ignore physics, it sort of bums me out a little bit. Especially, you know, like people running around on Mars like it's 1G, and I'm like, eh? But yeah, but you know, the whole idea of having a space station with varying gravities for different folks from different gravity worlds is like totally awesome. It's well thought out, which I really appreciate. So yeah, obviously my impression from last night was different from my original impression, but I just didn't know what I was in for the first time I saw it. Now I know, and it is well worth a watch. I think it's a fantastic series. You have to just get over the CGI because, you know, that's all you could do back then. They did the best they could with what they had. And I'm actually keen to see if they do a reboot or a continuation or something like that, and to see all the ships and the stations and everything in all their glory done with, you know, 8K super amazing CGI would just be fantastic.
I have to say, to what you said of all these little things pay off, that is 1,000% true. Like the slog through season 1, and then truthfully, in my opinion, the dip after season 1 of the first half of season 2, but then you get to that midpoint of season 2, and it's like you've crested the top of the roller coaster, and you're gone. And it's worth it. However, there were people who told us, Jeff, you remember this?
Oh yeah.
People who told us nothing is wasted in Babylon 5. Everything comes back. So Jeff and I have spent 5 seasons going, all right, what about that little thing? What about that thing? What about that thing? What about that thing? Yeah, there's stuff that just never comes back, and it's okay.
Like, we're still waiting on the great egg. Like, when does the great egg come back?
Right. Right. I want to know what happened to San Diego. And
yeah.
It kind of
yeah. But that being said, a lot, and I mean a lot, does come back. It circles back around. It makes those connections. Again, that's why I'm so excited for the second time through, so we can see all of that, because it really is laid out. Like,
I'm curious, Brent. Like Chaos was asking a second ago, and I'm curious with that. Like, who was your favorite character when you watched this the first time, and did it change when we watched it again last night?
For me,
yeah.
Ooh.
I don't remember I don't know that I had a favorite character the first time. I really don't. My favorite character in the whole series is not in the show yet.
Right.
So, yeah. But as far as just the gathering, it's going to be Londo for me right now. I love Londo. You know, I love Londo. But I mean, Jakar, Jakar and Londo were the two characters, Jeff, you and I had commented when we watched it, like, that's them.
Yep.
The makeup changes a little bit, the hair changes a little bit, but the costumes change. But that's like those two actors had those two characters figured out. Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, there's a story behind the hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So here's what happened. So Peter Jurasik, he was in hair and makeup prior to the show, and they wanted to play like a prank on JMS, the producer, the writer guy. And so he had him style his hair like this. And then he walks into JMS's office and goes, "Hey, I was thinking like this would be like what my hair would be like." And JMS looks up, and in JMS's mind, he goes, "The actor knows the character. If the actor thinks that's it, then sure." And so he went, "Yep, looks good. Go do that." So now they had to keep that hairstyle for the entire run of the show. And everybody who plays a Centauri has that head crest thing.
Not everybody. No, because only the really high ups have it.
That is true. That is true. There's a few exceptions, but the one guy had a real little one. He was a great character. Oh, good villain. Oh, such a good character.
One of the best.
Yeah. But he basically cursed everybody to that Centauri head fan.
When I watched the first time, I really liked Takashima, like a lot.
Yeah.
And which is fascinating because we watched it this time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I 100% understand why they made the change. I understand that wasn't necessarily, it was more scheduling than anything, but yeah, she was not a value add. Watching it the second time, watching it this time though, 100% my favorite was Jakar. Big time. I loved everything about his portrayal, how just over the top he was. And when you got courtroom Jakar, politician Jakar in there doing this stuff, it's just like, this guy is an evil genius, what he's doing. Love Jakar in this one.
I would have to say, and again, this is coming from someone that has only watched one episode. And again, I don't know if I am projecting, which if you listen to the show long enough, you might get this impression. But my favorite character would have to be Commander Jeffrey Sinclair.
There's a reason that we call him Captain Admiral Happy Endings.
Happy I don't know. Maybe I relate somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, you're the kid in the group that likes Captain America for the whole Avengers group.
I can see, and I know, I think there's a change in the Commanders somewhere down the line. So I'm aware that he's not there.
There is a tragic story around that, for real. I'll just share real high level, but the actor, Michael O'Hare, very severe mental illness.
Oh,
and he kept it secret and he shared it with JMS, and JMS protected his secret literally till after he died. He helped protect him in the secret of everything. It was an incredible thing that JMS did for him. But
actually him telling the story was a part of his agreement with Michael O'Hare after he died to be able to tell the story.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. But him being in that role and working that much was killing him. And so he they gave him a graceful exit and then went a different direction. But the cool thing is, without giving anything away, like Brent said earlier on, JMS had built this as a 5-act, play, essentially, or a novel, a series. Everything was pre-planned, but he knows how TV works and stuff. So he actually built these trap doors in for everyone. So if anything ever happened, and a lot of stuff happens over 5 years of TV, they can pivot, and to the viewer makes total sense. But when you learn the story behind some of the things, some of the changes that happened were pretty tragic, and this was one of the big ones.
Wow. So I guess my main reason, it goes back to I could say Star Trek, I could say Galactica. I have a fascination for captains, or for top figures in an organization within sci-fi, because they have so much stress. They have so much stuff that they got to keep into. One example is Picard. Captain Picard. So when I see a character like this, I think that character, and I think that's why I really appreciate and love that character is uh, you see the conflict, especially on this, and I'm sure I have a lot more to watch, but within this episode, you see the conflict that he is going through, and what kind of face he has to put in front, and how he manages to do everything that needs to do by the book, how it needs to be done, regardless of how it affects him personally, and kind of like leader figures, and I think that's the reason why I think I said maybe I'm projecting, because that happens to be why I feel that he is my favorite character, at least in this episode. I, once I start watching, and sure, I'll have other ones. So who's going next?
Right?
Oh yeah, you want my favorite character? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, uh, Garibaldi's my man for this episode, but I'll just run my little hashtag, and this is where my heart really lies.
Nice.
There's nothing wrong with
where
that
is
at
it-
all. Totally
Where
makes
is
sense.
Ivanova? Ivanova is awesome.
Ivanova is God.
Obviously, you guys haven't seen Ivanova yet, but well, you guys, I'm saying my co-hosts, but
We have.
over the course of the series, she's
We
the
have.
rock.
We have.
She's the rock. She's the core around which Babylon 5 pivots, and she's just like the immovable object. She's great.
We have very intimately, if you remember, that little tiny episode we had in our catalog called The Hidden.
Oh yes,
So yeah,
yes, yes. She's in that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. She's a cool girl.
very,
Oh, wow.
very intimately. So yes,
You haven't seen The Hidden?
No.
Well, go watch The Hidden, then go listen to our episode on The Hidden. It's
Yeah.
a great little B grade movie.
She has
I mean-
there's another one she's in called Hexed that also you get some pretty intimate stuff for her.
Oh
in
yeah,
that
she
also.
showed a lot of stuff in The Hidden. But yeah, she was good in it too.
Nice.
you can tell.
But yeah, in this show, Ivanova is just she's the pivot around which the station rotates. She is the rock. It doesn't matter who's rocking up to make the Babylon 5's day bad, be it the Vorlons, be it somebody else that I can't mention because it's a spoiler, be it the Earth government gets pissed off with them at one point and rocks up, and she's like, yeah, so what? I'm Russian. We did this. We call this Tuesday.
Right.
You'll
She's
appreciate
just
this,
awesome.
Red. And the stories for her are so great. There's a point that comes way on down the line when I did my reaction video. So I record my reaction when I watch it the first time for our patrons. I literally broke down in tears when a thing happened. Like I lost it and started crying. And then I cussed out JMS. Like she's that incredible of a character.
I'll tell you, she is so incredible. There is an episode that, for a lot of people, is considered the worst episode of the entire series.
It's the best.
And but like the half of the episode centers around her and her story, and then the other half centers around something else. When you get there and you watch it, and it's real early in season 1, I think.
It's episode 9, I think.
The two stories are mirrors of each other. If you analyze this, I think is the benefit of Jeff and I looking at it, analyzing it. They're mirrors of each other, and it's brilliantly done. The one side is goofy as hell. Like I ain't gonna lie, it is dumb, it is goofy, but the way they go back and forth, oh, so good, So good. And Jeff has continually said that is actually the best episode of the entire
I've gone
series.
on to other podcasts to defend it. It's called TKO. It's incredible. You will get to it in a couple of weeks when you continue watching this, and you will agree with me. You'll be like, oh my God, how do people not love this thing? It's so brilliant.
I think that's also the first place where we ever see Babylon 5's product placement of your favorite beverage from the 90s, Zima.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Zima. I haven't heard that word in such a long time.
Yeah, because they went out of business.
I'm just saying the what now?
Right, yeah. You're better off. You're better off.
Yeah. For Ray,
so you've been drinking the Kool-Aid.
It's a non-alcoholic. What was that supposed to? I kind of lost track now. If you can Google it, you'll find out. Ray, it was like a thing.
It was a clear malt liquor. So nowadays they have like those alcoholic seltzer waters. It was the proto seltzer water sort of a thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just grosser.
So if you wanted to drink alcohol, you buy and not have alcohol, you buy the Zima.
It never really felt like drinking alcohol, like even as a teenager, but it always felt like you could get away with that as a teenager here. Like,
nice, awesome. So
hey, just as an aside, because I don't want to get so far away that I forget this, but the way Jakar lands in this episode kind of reminds me of Felonious Gru. Do you guys see that? Like some vague parallels. The way he's sort of trying to be all evil and stuff, but he's actually not.
Are you talking about the animated character Gru from Despicable Me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think if you know what comes later, maybe. But just in this episode, like Rob, this wouldn't hit for Rob at all.
I got to be honest. We rewatched it yesterday, and I remember saying to Jeff, I was like, I don't understand why Jakar is doing this. This doesn't make sense to me, knowing who he is and what's going on. Like, I just,
I think they just needed someone to fill a spot in the persecution sort of arc, and he was the one that they picked. I mean, it could have been either of him or Londo, but they picked him because he's an angry young man from a race that's been persecuted, and he got the shits with the universe and wants to stick it to the man, and the man is Sinclair on this station. So I think that's where the impetus came from. But I guess I am mixing up my understanding of the character over the course of the series with my comparison to Gru.
I can see that arc, like his arc.
But that arc is there.
Mm-hmm.
That arc is definitely there. Yeah. And Jakar certainly grows and changes. He is.
I'll say that for every character. Every character. That's one of the things that makes this great is all the characters grow and change.
Yeah. Haha, Jeff, I'm on the top row.
Look at you.
I'm not entirely sure if it's grow and change or whether it's the rough edges get worn off.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So I guess the only one that is missing here to answer the question would be our very own Captain Chaos. And I don't know if I should be afraid what his favorite character is, but
bet he has a meme. I've already showed us.
I showed a meme for my favorite character. I did like Jakar, but he's a villain that I could read through way too easily. I even explained to Robert how I felt about him. Like he was a paradoxical character. He's an ambassador. He's a very symbol of a good relationship in between different races. Yet, every effort he did throughout the show was to get his vendetta fulfilled and to assert a superiority of his race within everything else.
You got a great read of Jakar. Like that is pretty fun. That's good.
You know,
Mhm.
so it's like you can trust this guy. This guy is totally driven by his blind rage of revenge. He feels wronged. You know,
And
So,
and
because-
he wants to poke the redhead like you do, so there can't be too much wrong with it.
yeah.
Do you want to be
which is-
conscious or unconscious?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, let me show you this meme. Actually, it's the best.
Oh my God!
It's the best meme I came up with.
Here we go. Are we ready? I'm afraid. I'm really afraid.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
Wow. Conscious or unconscious? Wow.
Oh my God!
And the
He'd
other
prefer
one-
conscious, but he's not sure about your
this is
tolerance
the-
to
this is the
pleasure.
other one too. This guy got me good with that thing, bro.
That is so good.
Oh God! Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff you're missing if you don't follow the YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
and actually, when they were talking about coffee and the illegalities of coffee, like it's like good people trying to think that they're really doing something really bad when it's something like stupid. But I was like, oh, perfect meme.
oh wow!
So what I did love about the show is that every character got me individually with their very unique quirks about their
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they do follow different archetypes. Some of them meet in between crossroads with their interests, some others don't. It was kind of funny for me to see actually Garibaldi being like understanding of the ambassador. I was kind of disappointed. I thought that Garibaldi was a smart guy, and he actually like find it commendable what he did, trying to put himself into manipulating him. Like what he did was wrong, bro, completely wrong. He was cheap trash for Jakar to buy. You know. So my favorite character is Lita Alexandria because not only she's hot, but I mean, unfortunately, I don't get doubts about what are Sinclair's motives. He's very Captain America, all positive. Yeah, good guy. I'm a win-win situation all the time, even though that's not going to happen apparently throughout the show. but basically, so he doesn't tickle my interest because I know that he's gonna go and do the right thing all the time. But like Lydia Alexandra, she got an interesting power, and they didn't shed much light about her background at all. And it kills me of curiosity, besides how hot she is, what are her motives on this pack? Because every character is built with core values, but also with ambitions. And it makes me wonder what is she's after. She's like not even the alien ambassador, the one that was friends with Sinclair. Not even her tickled my interest as much as Alexandria did, because of like how clouded and how like sudden her arrival was.
Hold
And
up.
then her power is something very rare too. Like it's like you cannot bullshit this one. So this one knows a lot, and she probably is like one of the highest intelligent beings. And I would guess that by default, because how she is, she's so honest that there's not even secrets within her.
Okay, I would have to. I'm gonna say a comment, but I gotta say first. Trigger warning. Trigger. Oh, you like her and not Sabine?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Lita
Sabine is an entitled little princess that doesn't want to take charge of her heritage and own duty. That's what she was born for. She should have quit at it when she was in kindergarten and just go and play with desert balls and hay on Tatooine. I don't know. but you cannot compare her to that. Like she's actually apparently trained, and her merit to what she knows is respected by this allegiance and by the law within this universe. You know,
And she worked hard.
she's well respected. It's not like she's some so entitled little princess that I can read minds, so everybody loves me.
If you guys want to know what's going on here, you want to go back to our back catalog and listen to the Ahsoka episode. And all I have to say about that is you're welcome.
And
You're
don't compare her to Sabine,
ripping the
okay?
scab off old wounds there, Robert.
Sabine is like waifu, like young looking. Like this lady is like nice ginger mature, like
No,
wow, bro.
I agree with you. And
90s, bro, like the curves of 90s, bro.
he works
knowing you're like Chaos, you get the assassin with the chameleon net.
Right.
Two of them, man. Two of them. That was like peak on the episode.
Doublemint twins. Rob, you said earlier there are 3 questions that we ask on this. What are the other? We've worked through one. What are the other ones?
Well, I'm going to skip the middle one for now because I think I want to do something fun. And before I explain,
We're going off the rails. We never
I know.
do
I'm
that.
a little worried here.
before we go into the question, I think I need an explanation first. So, in your show, and if you guys don't listen, for all of you out there listening to our show, if you guys don't listen to Babylon 5 for the first time, I encourage you to pause us, go back and listen to them, and then come back to us. But there's something you do on your episodes that I find it interesting, and you have a limit, I believe, of 3 references.
We do here. We have. So we play the rule of 3, which is a game that limits us each to just 3 references to Star Trek.
That's it. 3. One of those plays. No substitutions, exchanges, a refund.
That's it. And whenever we do make one of those Star Trek references, you hear this. And we tightened it up. So you're earlier on, if you're listening, we each got 3 references. And now that we're in the 5th season, to keep us even more honest, we get 3 total.
Yeah.
Between the 2 of us.
Wow.
But like Jeff and I used to trade.
That last one, tooth and nail.
We used to trade references like they were draft picks and
commodities.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, I'd be like, Jeff, can I have one of yours? I'll give you 2 of mine next time.
So
it's like we don't talk about that, buddy. You gotta keep those thoughts to yourselves now,
right?
Why? Well, because there would be times where I'd be like, "Oh, I got a reference. Oh, I'm out. Oh,"
but it makes us work harder.
I know. I totally get it, man.
So the reason why I wanted you to do the explanation is for context for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
So I want to provide an avenue for you guys to express yourselves. So in this episode,
we don't need any striptease on the show, okay?
That's fair.
I like you guys to do things that you can do on the show. So I'm going to go first. And basically what I like to do is, and I'm sure that our very own Captain Chaos might not be able to participate as much because he hasn't watched much Star Trek.
What?
But
Doctor Who, Star Trek. We're worried about you watching Babylon 5 and
Captain
bro over here.
Captain Cass, I've got the perfect show for you. It's called Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast. It is like a speed run through Star Trek, and we'll get you all caught up in no time. Check it out.
Subscribing right now, bro.
There you go. Do it, bro. Do it.
All right, Rob, you're going first on this thing.
So I'm going first, right? So basically, I want to provide an avenue for you guys to do something you can do on your show. So it should be therapeutic to you guys.
Cathartic, if nothing else, right?
He's giving you an out.
I'm giving you guys an out on this episode. So the first thing that I immediately from the beginning credits on this thing, and I don't know why, but the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh shit, Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the first, and I'm just going to bring a couple, right? So Jeffrey Sinclair, Cisco, Ambassador Lando Mollari, Quark. I don't know, maybe not because I haven't seen enough, but from what I see, Dr. Benjamin Kyle, Dr. Mbenga,
Okay.
And there's Double.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's Double. I am excited. So yeah, those are just a few that I brought in. I'm not sure if our very own Captain Chaos knows what the heck I'm talking about.
Hey, you missed one.
But
he
You
missed so
one.
many.
Yeah.
Jakar. Listen to this. Jakar Gold Ducat.
Or
Or-
spoiler, is Gold Ducat just Ducat?
Which is a character later on in Babylon 5. Also, you have Lita and Lita, who in Babylon 5 was a prostitute.
Lita.
You know, you also have the first officer of the station is a female.
Yeah, it's a space station with a
Here,
number on it. So, Rob, I'm not going to mince words. That's shots fired in the Babylon 5 community. Like literally, you just threw rocks at the beehive.
But that's what we do. I want to merge the community, and this is the reason why this is
so.
Is Robert going to get the first hate mail? That's what I'm
He might. No, first though, Rob, I want to thank you for inviting us to do a thing we can't do. But I don't know, Brent, I can't in this case because of what we've learned. And I think that we went into Babylon 5 knowing that there's heat. There's a belief, and frankly, there are pieces of evidence that suggest it could be true that because JMS was shopping this series around since the late 80s. He's been trying to get this thing on TV, and he sent it to Paramount, Viacom, CBS, whoever it was at the time, and they had a copy of his show Bible. And very soon after that, Deep Space Nine came out. And through the
say the thing that everybody knows but nobody wants to say. Say it.
No, because this is the thing. So the story that's out there is that complete ripoff. They were just trying to undercut, beat him to the punch. Star Trek can do it better, all that kind of stuff. And when you watch through the first season, absolutely there are parallels where you're like, that's interesting. But what Brent and I really tried to see, and I think proved out, was no. Like, there are things that are similar, but it's not stolen. And if the stealing happened, it was back and forth, and it was more of an inspired by, if anything else. Like everything you pointed out, Rob, is kind of from Go. It's kind of that's sure interesting.
Wow, and this is something that I did not know.
So I will tell you, I have a personal working theory of the whole thing. But the end result of it, let me just start there. And Jeff said this so eloquently years ago when we first started this thing. There are two different shows that both happen to be set on a space station. They're both incredible shows. Deep Space Nine is arguably the best of all the Star Trek series that are out there.
Yep.
They are both fantastic additions to the sci-fi community. They both say lots, great shows, and we got two really good shows out of it, regardless of how it started. My personal theory, and I think this is kind of proven out, is the executives at Paramount wanted a space station deal. They were looking for the next iteration of Star Trek already, and so this idea of doing something on a space station came up. Berman had that idea as well. They latched onto it, and I think the studio went, well, nobody else is going to be in the sci-fi game but Star Trek. It's us. We own this. This is our territory. And so they did everything they could from a studio standpoint, not the production of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Those guys, I think, were in a separate thing altogether. But the people wearing ties, the execs, they were trying to crush Babylon 5. And they did that by getting to TV first. I think they clearly borrowed some names. And I'll give you a good example. Jeff just mentioned it, Ducat. There is a character in Babylon 5 that is this big, huge, exalted, not religious leader. That's not the right word, Jeff, but what, like,
just a
cultural
big deal.
leader.
Yeah.
And they took him and made him a villain. They took the name and made it a villain over on Deep Space Nine. Again, Lita, you met Lita in this episode of Babylon 5. They pulled that name and turned her into a prostitute in Deep Space Nine. So I think there were some jabs that were clearly being thrown, and maybe some directional pieces that were certainly lifted to make Babylon 5 seem like it was a cheap ripoff of Star Trek. But in the end, the two diverged, and I think it's been pretty clear, like I said, the production of Star Trek Deep Space Nine did not know or participate in any kind of ripoff. Like what we got with Deep Space Nine did come from the minds of Ira Stephen Bear, Robert Wolf, oh shoot, who's the guy that did Battlestar Galactica, left to go do Battlestar Galactica?
Ron D.
Ron Moore. I was saying David Moore, and I was like, that's not right. That's a football player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Moore. Like those guys, what we got for Deep Space Nine is what came from their minds, not some ripoff of whatever. But there are certainly similarities that you cannot excuse.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, and this is basically, obviously, coming from someone that only seen one episode, and this is something that so far, because I'm going to get the answers that I'm seeking, definitely.
Yeah.
This is really interesting for me to learn that the similarities may not be accidental, like I thought they were originally.
Now, I will say this too, if I may jump in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon 5 is going to get its shots at Deep Space Nine as well, and they're doozies. They are. When you see it and you get there, you will laugh your ass off. It's so good. It's so good. We took clips of them and put them in our intros for the shows once we saw them.
Well, I think an important thing too that I just looked up to confirm, Emissary, Deep Space Nine's first episode, aired almost exactly 1 month before The Gathering did. So there was very much on the Star Trek side a desire to be first to market on the whole thing, so that to any casual viewer, Babylon 5 was clearly just a ripoff of them.
Mm-hmm.
When the reality is it probably was the other direction. And to Brent's point, not a ripped off, but an inspired by at a studio level.
Yeah.
So I would have to thank you guys, because that is actually the ammunition that I needed to get my wife on board.
There you go.
That's good teamwork right there.
Yeah. She loves Deep Space Nine. So hey.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what,
in the end, like I said, you get two different incredible series that are both set on a space station.
But I think that what I love, and I shared earlier, there was a thing that happens to a character that shows up in the next episode much later in the series that when I watched it, like I broke down in tears. Like it was that emotionally impactful to me, because Babylon 5 has an incredible story. The story is unbelievable, but it's rooted as a character story. It's the journey of the characters and their development that make it awesome. Deep Space Nine has an incredible story that's really great and interesting, but when you watch that final episode, What We Leave Behind, if you don't watch O'Brien, right, and Bashir walking down playing Alamo and stuff, and they're going away, and you don't tear up a little bit, like, oh my, because it was a character based show. So similar roots, and then they go their different directions, but they're both based on incredibly connectable, relatable, interesting characters that have fascinating and unexpected arcs. Babylon 5 with the arcs more so than DS9. But
I'm going to ask a question, and it's going to be directed to our very own mad scientist here, only because of this comment that I just heard. I'm a little worried. So if you guys listening to our show long enough, you know that I am, Admiral Happy Endings. And you know what that means. So based on the comment that we just heard, the mad scientist, can you tell me how many boxes of Kleenex I might need without spoiling it?
it's greater than one.
For you,
Put it this way, Jeff.
you'll need
There are
probably
shows I've
3
watched
boxes
based on
per
a
season at various points.
I
think that'd be my estimate.
Yeah.
What do you fellas think?
I think that's very fair. It was in season 1 when a thing happened near the end, and I said, "This is impactful because I care about these characters like that early on." So, 3 is probably good. I'll just say 100%. It will be greater than 1 per season.
Okay.
I just know Robert will tear up. Like, he's very empathic, so if somebody's suffering, he'll be suffering right along with them.
And
I will. Okay, so that being the case, season 2, double up and go with 6.
You might have a box or 2 left over from season
I was going
1.
to say season 4. You definitely have to. I mean, get like 12.
Yeah, that's what I broke down.
Season 3 is just freaking awesome.
So are you
and
saying
we're only halfway through season 5, but I'll tell you, if season 5 is going where I think it is, just take out stock in the Kleenex company and go to town, dude.
What I'm hearing here is that I should be watching Babylon 5 from my bathroom under the shower.
Maybe.
Maybe you should just be getting a lap pillow from your wife, and you can just cry quietly.
I just look at it as an opportunity, Robert, for you to really connect and bond emotionally. It can really be the impetus for increased emotional intimacy with your wife, because she'll feel the same, and you can bond over that. This retroactively, 30 years later, you're being handed a gift to turbocharge your marriage.
Listen, Jeff, you and I have both discovered Babylon 5 for the first time, but Babylon 5 is saving marriages and families.
Yes. That happened. We had some
multiple times
told stories that they're back together because of us and Babylon 5, which is pretty humbling.
Well,
mostly us though. No.
My wife and I are very similar, and I mean Captain Chaos can relate to this. My wife and I are very similar. However, I might push through while she just stops.
Oh yeah.
No, she won't. If she makes it, I promise you, if she makes it to the middle part of season 2 and she hasn't stopped, she won't stop.
She can't let go because of the characters, basically.
Yeah. But I will also say this: some of those tears may be tears of joy and maybe tears of laughter.
Those are good.
Yeah.
There's it's not just happy endings because of whatever other things happen. I will tell you this. Now, I don't know what this means, but Jeff and I have definitely been warned to bring an entire box apiece to the final episode.
Yeah.
We've been warned that multiple times. Just to the final episode. And I'm like, oh my word. If I'm going to go blubbery on camera,
So I guess Captain Chaos, you need to watch the entire thing then.
Oh, I'm going to.
Because, if you guys have followed the show long enough, you know that he has no heart.
Yeah, I'm dead inside. So I'm the other part of that. While some people cry over hard moments, I'm going to say something very insensitive about how the character that just died and should be redempted actually falls short. That's how I usually do.
I want to prop you up though a little bit. Like, if you have to be dead anywhere, inside is the place to be dead.
Frees up a lot of storage.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. I have another question that I had, and this is what we do in this. Okay, another. And if you're not watching our YouTube and wonder why we stop mid-sentence, that's what we do.
So we just saw brilliance get flashed on the screen.
And that's why you should follow our YouTube channel.
I want you to appreciate that one.
And I would like to take this opportunity before I move on to the next thing to explain what will happen if we reach how many subscribers on YouTube?
10,000 actually. It's called a 10K ass tattoo. Well, it doesn't have to be on my ass, but we're gonna do a poll, and our audience is gonna pick what I can tattoo that is sci-fi related to me.
There you go. So it's make Captain Chaos's butt your canvas.
Wow.
Wait, do the people get to pick the tattoo?
Yeah.
Yes. And then
make him put a Star Fury on his ass.
I want to start what?
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's a 10K. We get 10K subscribers. I'm doing it, man. I'm showing it.
Oh, nice. Okay, so now I can move on to the next thing that I was going to say. When I was watching this episode, there was a scene where I think it was Jakar. He was being um, tortured by gravity. Did I
Yes,
say that?
yes.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, it's 2 gravities, 3, go to 4, and she mentions, you get to 6, your heart would explode.
I think she actually said crush your rib cage.
Crush your rib. Yeah. So I don't know. I just wondered, right? What does that truly happen in a human body?
So you went and tested it?
Well, I don't think I want to do that, but I went in research, which is the best next thing, instead of testing.
Chaos, that's the Star Fury. It's the fighter ships from the Earth.
Look at that and think Last Starfighter.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes. That is
But
it.
you can see it's got vectored thrust, so it can actually spin using its engines. So it can be traveling this direction, spin around, and shoot backwards.
Yep.
Nice.
Sweet.
The person in the cockpit is like standing, not sitting, because why do you need to sit in space?
Mm-hmm.
He's laying on the air.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, that
sorry,
reminds
we
me
torpedoed something. Go ahead.
No, and I'm about to go further down the rabbit hole, but I was watching a video about military equipment advancement, and this guy had these goggles that are like VR view, and wherever he looks, he has a turret under a helicopter that will turn the same direction.
Oh, wow.
So he's there like just looking around, and he can shoot with his sight.
That's wild.
Like an Apache. So it reminds me a lot of that, because it shows versatility on how you pilot a vessel in which you fight.
That's wild. I have to be honest though, my chest is bursting, waiting to find out if my rib cage will be crushed under 8 gravities or not.
8 gravities? I think that 5.
Is that the magic number?
Biologist,
Jeff,
what do you say?
Jeff, did you eat bad space noodle?
Yes. I have space sickness. I have a space tummy ache.
Oh my God, that reminds me that our alien episode. If you guys have not listened to it, just go back on our back catalog. I can't. I just bad space noodle.
Forget the Pepto Bismol. Get this guy some. Forget the water. Get this guy some Pepto Bismol.
No, and just so you guys get the reference, we got a Wikipedia translation from a Chinese plot. So it literally said Chinese noodles when he popped out of the. That's what the translation says. From the bloody Chinese from aliens.
We were in tears. We were definitely in tears.
So what is the gravity rate that actually would get my noodles inwards?
I'm not a physicist, so I'd have to go and research it. But
well, I was going to read something and then get your thoughts on that.
I can answer that briefly.
Okay.
Let him answer it.
The human body can long term sustain about 4.5 Gs. Fighter pilots at their peak hit about 8 or 9, which they can only sustain they can sustain briefly. They have the anti-G suits, they can give them a little bit longer, but 8 or 9 Gs. Your body doesn't actually crush till I think it's like 75 before you just go. So she wasn't quite close to crushing the chest yet, but it basically would have felt like a fighter pilot in a deep dive or steep climb, like he's like Maverick passing out in the cockpit. So.
Oh yeah, Maverick passing out in the cockpit.
It's when your capillaries start breaking in your eyes and they go red. That's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. You don't want to be at 8 Gs. Like to Delenn's point, you don't want to, but you're probably not crushing your rib cage unless the Narn rib cage
Yeah,
is
different.
just not that sturdy.
And that's where I was going to get to, right? And again, I do this in every episode. We start, wondering about this, because I'm kind of familiar with what you just said. So I was wondering if it's it possible, and I guess based you probably have a better understanding of this, knowing that you have had a lot more episodes that we have, obviously, on this episode. But is it possible that based on your understanding of that race, that this is a possibility that maybe they're, they could be sturdy in the outside and maybe weak in the inside?
Like a croissant, basically.
Here's the thing. There's nothing that we're given to know about the race that they're going to be crushed at 8 Gs. But I will give you this fun fact about Jakar and the Narn. They are a marsupial race.
Not lizards.
Our Australian friend might appreciate that. So they have pouches. They carry their young in pouches, and they're marsupials. And the way they fight is some of the funniest fighting you've ever seen in your life. I cackle every time I see the Narn fight, like in fist fights.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
It's so awful. Oh, God, it's so good.
I have one quick question though, Rob. What did you think of that ring weapon, the gravity ring thing? What did you think of that?
That was very interesting to me. I don't know exactly, where this is going to go to, but the fact that she's able to keep this secret within it raises a lot of questions for me. This is obviously.
Can I help you? Can I help you?
Go.
Now, granted, Jeff and I have not seen the entirety of Babylon 5, but we're like 11 episodes out.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That said,
come back.
you're curious about the right thing. The secrets. Like I think you've got a really good bead on the character of Delenn at this stage. So that's you're asking the right questions.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there's a lot that, from my perspective, is very obvious, and I want to know. This secret compartment obviously was secret because only she can open it with her hands. What's the story? Why does she have it there? Why no one knows it's there? What's the objective?
Dude, you're asking such great questions.
I will tell you this. Those you will get answers to eventually.
But I think
eventually
an overriding thing.
Those are the right answers, or those are the right questions, and you'll get those answers.
And they get answered. I think both you and Chaos have asked the question.
Delenn would have been my favorite character if she wasn't so wishy-washy.
So, long story, make it super short. I become not a big Delenn fan, and that's really unpopular to have that viewpoint. So, but I will say though that both you and Chaos said a thing that I found really interesting, and that's a couple of the characters. It's pretty apparent, what archetype they are, kind of where they're coming from or whatever. Without giving anything away, I'll just say that no one in Babylon 5 is exactly what they seem.
I see what you did there.
Is you like that?
Yep.
I see what you did there.
Nice. Okay, so I guess we're at the point of the show where we ask the question, the final question.
Oh, wow.
And the question is, if you're new,
What are numbers for tomorrow?
there you go.
That is the question.
They keep asking me that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're in the future, but yeah. The question is, what is your last impression of this episode? And the way that I like it to be answered, right? And this is the way that we have always. It's kind of hard whenever we do an episode instead of a movie, right? So, what is your last impression? Counting, or I should say, accounting for the multiple times that you have watched this episode, in contrast to your first impression of watching this episode that we watched today. Obviously, I think me and Gio should go first because all three of you have a benefit that you have watched this multiple times, and I understand how that is because I have done the same thing with Star Trek. And I fully understand that the second, third, fourth view of a thing, especially through the years, will change your perception of that one thing. So your perception will definitely change. And I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts on that because it's sounds like it would be interesting. And I have the same perspective, say in Star Trek. So, Gio, would you like me to go first?
Yeah, and let me clarify. In other words, Robert knows the in and outs of indoctrination on IPs.
Okay. So obviously, my last impression of this, I want to call it boring because I watched it today. Today was the only time that I watched it, so I know I have no base. I don't have the benefit of watching it a second time. I'm sure that that's going to come soon in the future, and I will definitely keep you posted. We'll probably do another episode and come back and give you guys my second perspective. For now, I would say my last perception of this, and I alluded to this throughout this episode, is it grabbed me. It completely grabbed me. I don't think, and I'm trying to think, it's kind of hard. I'm sure there's other ones, but I can't think of any right now, any IP that has grabbed me from the very first episode. There has been many things. If you guys listen to the show, you know there has been a lot of shows that we have done that I mentioned. Well, I have to go into like 3 episodes in, or I have to go halfway through the season. No, this is one of the few IPs that has grabbed me from the very first episode, and it has to do with the questions. You guys have heard me say in previous episodes that what grabs me is the science, and that is still true. When you have an IP and they're heavy into the science, and it makes you question, it makes you research, and I'm all for that because I love science, and I wish more people would be interested in science. This one grabbed me for a different reason, although there is science there. The forefront of my last perspective, and the reason why I will continue to watch this, is all the questions and how they made the pilot in a way that they let you, which I think it must be hard to do. They give you a thing, but they're also showing you, that might not be the whole thing. And Jeff said it perfectly when he says, we look at all the characters here, and they're not what they seem, and that encapsulates the whole thing. And what my last perspective, the reason why I'm going to continue watching this show, it's I want to know what happened next, and that is my last perspective. I want to, I guess, move on to very own Captain Chaos, which we actually watched it together.
Just before you do, Robert, does this mean that we now have to retire this hashtag?
Well, technically,
If he gets in line with the show, we might have to reinforce it.
technically you could keep it because this is the first episode, and that would kind of encourage me to get to the very last episode.
There are 110 more, so yeah.
And here's the good news: you don't have to go through it as slow as Jeff and I have. Like you could just go. Yeah, Jeff and I have been slow and pacing, and I just want to finish the show. I really do. I just want to finish the show.
Okay.
No, don't betray each other, guys. Don't watch it before the other one without telling each other.
We're so close to the end. We're not, but yeah, we're here. So
nice.
Okay, Captain Chaos, go ahead and tell us your last impression.
Well, I think that this show got me because different than Star Trek likes to be okay with everybody, and even Star Wars a little bit. But this show is like the anti-heroes of Space Odyssey TV shows. They are not catering anybody. They have a message to give. They have a plot, and they don't care about social standards about it, which is something I like very much because that's what I love about sci-fi is when it explores something that goes beyond what our society would think to be normal. And I think that they did that perfectly on this show. And on top of that, they just give you enough to know who everybody is and tell you there's so much more. So much that I know as I continue to watch it, it's going to be like watching every Easter egg that was laid out every frame of the first episode. I got that much from what I watch, you know? So I would understand why this shaped up to be a titan in what sci-fi ended up becoming with the years and why it has a cult following. Definitely makes sense, totally. And I wouldn't doubt that with time, it's just one of those great IPs that is dormant there, waiting for somebody to pick it back up with the resources to make another TV show or throw another sequel, prequel about it out there. So I'm definitely watching this more.
Awesome.
That's cool.
They did actually have a go of a spin-off series, but they only did the pilot, so it didn't take off, unfortunately.
Okay, so who wants to go next on your last impression?
I'll go.
No, go Brent. Brent, go.
I'll go. My last impression is this. Well, my first impression. 2 years ago when I watched this, I was exactly where you two guys are. I was in. I wanted to know what happened next. I didn't like the commander. I do remember that. He felt very wooden is a word that we keep using, and he felt very well. I was like, he is awful, and I barely felt that he was the commander. Yet, like he just didn't feel like he was in charge to me. But
too much Chuck Norrick's vibes from him.
Yeah. I was but I was into the show. Now, having watched this episode again last night, my impression now is, how could anyone watch that and keep watching this show? Like, how could a television executive watch that and order the show to series? I don't understand, because oh my gosh, I wanted to just tear my eyes out watching this show again. Now, it was bad. I was so bored, but I did appreciate the fact that they introduced every character. They let you know who they were. You got a feel and a sense of what every character really was.
Yep.
Knowing what happens next, like here's the thing: when you jump back into the show to the actual first thing, it picks up a year later. So the events of what happened in this episode are rather muted at that point. You know, like this really was just a, hey, here's a station and here's the characters on the station. You know, so that's my impression. But I will do this before I go. Rob, given what you just said about how into Babylon 5 you are and how no other show has grabbed you from the pilot and stuff like that, I'm going to dare you to do something. I'm going to issue a challenge if you're brave enough, you coward.
Okay.
Watch the pilot of Stargate SG-1 and tell me you won't keep watching that show.
Okay. Well, that's basically like an unfair comparison because I already love Stargate. Nope. I have not seen the show. I've seen the movies. But yeah, it is on my list. Babylon 5 was not on my list.
But I'm telling you, when you talk
the
about
is creating a hashtag.
I will tell you, I think, and I truly believe this, Stargate SG-1 is about as close to a perfect pilot episode as you could get this side of Lost. Like it is a great pilot episode. Jeff can back me up on that when he says that. But no, yeah, Babylon 5, phenomenal show. I'm so glad I kept going, and I'm glad that I only have to watch The Gathering one more time, and then I can never have to watch it again. So.
Oh, nice. Well, not that.
Hashtag not a fan.
Yeah. Well, of the episode. I want to be really
Yeah.
clear. I'm speaking for Brent there, and then I'll give mine really quick also. Everything Brent said, everything he said. But I think that's very much because we have gone through the series almost all the way, and now looking back, it's just like he said, so much of the point of the plot is moot and not important in the scope of things. But what this episode did so well, and I even commented on it when we were watching it last night a couple times, the way it did the world building, like all the exposition that it wove into stuff was so natural, and it worked, and they did a great job. Like, knowing what I know now, they did such a great job planting the seeds and paving the road for you to understand the world of Babylon 5. That said, high level for me, there was 21 minutes of amazing content in a 43-minute long episode that took an hour and a half to get through.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it just there were times I was watching it where like I almost fell asleep. I'm just like, Brent, you made a comment when we were watching it, when near the end when they had the firefight with the really cool rifles they were holding. Like, I don't think I've ever been bored by a firefight before. but also it was 1993, and that's kind of how a lot of the TV was made back then. Watching it now, I think my big takeaway was this would have been an incredible single episode, but because they made it a two-parter, I just got bored by it. But to echo what Brent was saying, what I've kind of said for you, Gio, for you, Rob, the fact you're excited about this, like, I am legitimately excited for you right now, like, to go on this journey. I can't wait for you to come back and watch The Gathering and be like, oh my God, that was awful, because it gets eclipsed time and time and time and time again by this series. So yeah, I am.
Zathras agrees with you. Yes.
As he should.
But Zathras doesn't agree with you.
This is the one. This is the one.
Hey, that was a funny Russian accent, bro.
I will say this. This has happened to me multiple times now. Babylon 5, like, I've come out of an episode of Babylon 5 saying that is possibly the best episode of television I have ever watched. Ever. Period. And that's happened, Jeff, twice, maybe 3 times.
I'd say 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, like, it's that good. But you have to have everything that goes before it to get there.
Yeah,
like,
you can't just pop into it. Every step,
worth it.
Every step matters on this. Not every plot point, but every step matters in this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so who are we missing? Ray?
Ray.
So you got to think about what it takes to get a new sci-fi show off the ground. It's hard. I compare the fact that the shortcomings of this pilot still got 5 seasons of a fantastic sci-fi show on the air. So even with its shortcomings, it was successful. It got the show off the ground and got the story told. And if you look at, you compare it to Star Trek, they had to do 2 pilots, and it was only the backing of Lucille Ball, who was a huge figure in Hollywood at the time, that it actually got made. So, I mean, was there a Lucille Ball involved with Babylon 5? I don't know, but it got made. And I think the strength of it was the writing. The writing was really good. I mean, our quote was like fantastic. I love that quote, but there were so many other points in the episode where there was back and forth between characters. There was people being arrogant and other people lamenting their past glories that will fade and gone, and there was a mystery. There was all sorts of shit going on, and you could just feel the story fodder waiting that this pilot presented in its characters, in its setup, in its backstory, that was just dying to be told. And I think that's what got it over the line. It certainly wasn't the CGI. And it wasn't necessarily the acting, but the writing was on another level. And I think that's what got it over the line. And I'm so glad it did, because sure, shows need to find their feet. Pilots often don't cast a shadow compared to the actual show once it hits the ground and gets running. And Babylon 5 is no exception to that rule. But you can see the bones that were there, and you can see the excellent writing and the excellent storytelling and the great characters with all the little flaws and their little subtleties. And it's all there in the first pilot. And I think that's what got it over the line. And I'm so glad it did, because it just goes from strength to strength. And like you've said, it was written as a complete arc of 5 seasons before it was filmed. So it wasn't like they were coming up with shit at the time and trying to tie it back to stuff. No, it was all there. The web was there from the pilot. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic writing. And if you've got the backbone like that, then you've got this opportunity to tell some really good sci-fi and some really good social stories about, what could end up happening in our future and what we have to be careful to keep an eye out for. And I just think, that certainly the visuals don't stand up to today, but the storytelling just is timeless. And I think that's what it really brings to the table, is timeless storytelling and great character interaction, which, it's well worth at least one watch, probably 2 or 3.
Or 4, or 47.
There you go.
Then you just be like Robert in Star Trek. I mean, same shit, different day.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we got everybody. So if no one else has anything else to add, we can move on to our last segment.
Oh, wow.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi with 200% scientists.
Superpowered sci-fi.
That's right. That's right. So looking forward to what we tease out for this one. So I'll kick things off. Obviously, when we watch sci-fi from decades ago, we kind of look and go, so what did they predict? So risk communicators, but then of course Dick Tracy was predicting those back in the 30s. So it's not a new thing. Video comms was mentioned from last week. So I mean, like we've seen them in a lot of shows, and they were predicting quite right that now video comms is pedestrian and everyday in our lives, just like recording podcasts across the world, which is was unthought of probably back when this show aired. Things like internal scanners, the hovering drones for recording purposes happens a lot now. And of course, there's legislation against it, because you don't want a drone filming you through your window while you're doing things that shouldn't be going on the internet, but sometimes do end up on the internet. But for documenting purposes, hovering drones following you around and just recording what's going on could well be very useful, and is functionally possible at this point in time. But of course, the drones are a little bit bigger than what we saw on the show to keep them in the air for any length of time. Now, there was also some very interesting ideas on the show about spaceship and space station design. The thing that really caught my ear, as it were, not so much my eyes, but my ear, was gravity adjustment, having variable spin speeds in different sections of the station for species that come from planets with different gravities. Now, I've labored in science behind science fiction many times about it is not going to be easy for humans to inhabit other planets, because if they're bigger or smaller, we're going to feel like shit. because we are creatures of our environment. And once you change that environment, we tend to suffer a lot. I mean, just go up and hang on the International Space Station for a year and just find out how rough it is.
Yeah.
And of course, this whole, let's just toddle over to Mars and colonize it. No, it's not going to be that easy. So, I mean, if you have a ship with a rotating section and you're traveling out to a planet which has I wouldn't say a significantly different gravity, because we probably couldn't colonize it anyway, but a gravity which is non-standard but is within tolerance, you could just adjust slowly the spin speed of your spinning section of your ship to adjust yourself to the gravity. So you'd have time to become tolerant. Human beings thrown into a different environment tend to react pretty badly, but we're like the frog in the boiling pot of water. If you slowly adjust whatever it is that we've got to deal with, we'll just sit there and be fine about it and tolerate it. So when it comes to gravity, you could adjust the spin speed of your rotating section of your ship as you're traveling towards your destination. And by the time you got there, you could be aligned with that adjustment in gravity. You could also do a similar thing to atmosphere if it's tolerable to human lungs, and get people ready for where they're going. So that'd be some cool sort of design there for ships. Do you have anything in that vein that you could talk about, Brent?
Yeah, there are some neat mechanics that they have on the station, and you'll forgive me, I'm not entirely sure what all we saw in this particular episode versus just knowing the show as a whole. But one of the things I heard somebody earlier point out the doors and how they're on this hinge thing. The idea that they hinge open because of the rotation of the station. If something were to happen where they were to lose power, the rotation of the station would literally automatically open the doors.
Nice.
Like for safety reasons. Just
wow.
Yeah. Everybody's got to open. We
gotta hate that if you're on the John though.
Very true. But you know what? If you're on the John and they lose power, you better hurry up because you got to do something.
Bigger problems in the door.
Right. Honestly, I wouldn't be worried about being on the John. I'd be worried about other stuff, whatever. Don't take that dirty. No. Get your minds out of it. But like in that same vein of the rotating deal, which actually is a lot, like there's a lot that goes with that. The Star Furies, the way they launch from the space station is literally, it's like they're hanging and they open up the bay door and they just get flung out. Like that's how they launch is it looks like they turn and they drop, but they're actually like getting thrown out because of the rotation of the deal. You've already talked quite a bit, Ray, about the vectored thrusters on the Star Furies and how those things move and turn and spin. I'm trying to think of things that they would have predicted though, and I'm honestly coming up short.
Touch screen. They use the handprint on the touch screen to log into their Babcom, but we don't know is a Babcom yet.
Maybe,
that's a thing.
No, it actually says Babcon on one of the screens when the call's coming through.
Oh, on this one it did, yeah.
That's cool. Okay. That's cool. I mean, they did the body scanners. We maybe we didn't have that, did we? Back then. No, you go through the airport. You go into any theme park in Central Florida, and you're walking through a body scanner where they're seeing, the X-ray scan. That certainly was something that we saw. It seems like every sci-fi show has predicted the energy weapons. And that, we're not quite there yet.
Do you have nicotine patches by then? Because look how the poison was actually transplanted. It was kind of like a nicotine patch kind of transmission.
Yeah. There's other issues that I have with that, which has more to do with biology of the alien than anything. That Jeff and I are sitting here going, knowing what we know later, we're like, this makes no sense at all. and it would literally destroy the entire plot of the pilot episode. So whatever.
Mhm.
I've got a retcon, but it's huge spoiler material, so I don't think I'll.
Yeah, you definitely want to hold on to that. It's kind of a big thing.
But basically, it was all faked because they wanted to test the humans and see if they could actually.
That was the thing. When we watched it, I said that same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is, that's in character. So
I told this to Robert. Confirm if I didn't say so. One of the questions that was eating Robert away was why the most superior race gave up right at the moment they won the war with Earth.
That is a great question.
It didn't make sense for Robert. And I told him, it looks to me like they have the power to own them, but they want to give them the opportunity to not make the wrong choice. And then I explained to him, there's this conspiracy, like there were scientists, a group of scientists that studied chimpanzees, and basically they never interfere with their way of life. And they said that aliens look at us the same way, and unless we're gonna do something that is gonna erase everything and we're gonna be too bad to go back from, they won't interfere. And I think that was their way to do that. They knew that we're superior. They knew that there's no fighting here. That's like Titans with little things. So they wanted to study them, and what better way to study them than forming an alliance with them, letting them lead so you can see what is their pattern of choice to betterment.
Dude,
the Minbari has a caste system, so there's different castes, and the warrior caste like to beat the shit out of just about everybody, and they were beating the shit out of the humans. And then they were stopped by the religious caste because the religious caste found something out and went, oh shit, we can't kill these guys, much as we'd like to.
I'll just simply say you're a good guesser. That's all I'm going to say.
I knew it.
That's a loaded statement, by the way. But yeah.
That's what I thought. The way that even his friend, Sinclair's friend at the court, keeps information from, but then she just gives him crumbs again. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mean, there's something bigger going on in here, and she's just being nice and keeping a good diplomatic
I'm so freaking excited, man. I can't stop.
She's exploring human ways, basically, and being kind of like the person that communicates back to Central.
She's an enabler.
I'm ridiculously the questions you're asking, the breadcrumbs you're seeing. I'm stupidly excited for you to continue.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Awesome.
Well, I think unless there's any other sciencey, scientific-y bits that you guys want to include,
and that's in a shirt. That's a shirt.
Sure isn't.
Yeah.
Then
not scientist, the spelling of it.
I just don't know. I'm also an editor, so no. Just no. Anyway, if you would like to continue this conversation and talk more about Babylon 5, of course, got to get these guys to watch some more. But if you would like to chat about Babylon 5 or any of the other IPs that we have covered or IPs that you'd like us to cover, you can catch us on our Discord channel. So the Discord channel link will be popping up any second. One of these guys is going to hit the button any time now. Nope.
Fight.
Do the thing. There we go. Okay, there's our Discord link. So if you're watching the video, which is on YouTube 1 month after the podcast drops, then you can just scan that little QR code there and join us on the Discord. Or you'll find the link in the show notes underneath the podcast that you're listening to right now. So you can find a Discord invite there and join us on the Discord. And Discord's great because we get all sorts of different listeners and podcasters and, of course, ourselves on there chatting away about all sorts of different things to do with sci-fi and a few other related things besides. There's just about a channel for everything. And if there isn't, Robert will make it because he loves channels.
I love channels. So if there's a channel for your IP, I'll make it a thing.
So if you're interested in that, you could join us there. Hopefully, the guys from Babylon 5 for the first time, which is Jeff and Brent, will drop in on us from time to time and check on how these two nubs down here are doing with their watch. Find out a bit more. Maybe we'll do another episode after they've got a few seasons in one of the favorites and see how their opinions have changed.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
idea. Yeah.
And I'm like,
Compare and contrast.
and
I'm probably gonna be like, I knew it.
it will change quite a lot. I'm expecting that.
Oh yes, evolution is a great thing. But yeah, so thanks for joining us, Jeff and Chuckle Nugget. Sorry, Brent.
I appreciate that.
Dear. But it was great having you on, and hopefully we can get you back when you start watching something else, and we can chat about that one too. It was great to have you on. Really enjoyed it, and hopefully it's onwards and upwards for the rest of your limited time only podcast of Babylon 5 for the first time. Because of course, once you finish those last few episodes, it's no longer the first time.
Well,
Exactly.
it's Babylon 5 for the second time after that.
Yeah, just adjust the name.
I am
Start a new one.
We're eagerly anticipating, especially after watching The Gathering again. It's like, holy crud, this is going to be such a journey to watch this again. It's going to be cool.
Even
Hey,
the
guys.
slog it's all a part of it, Jeff. We're
Yep.
down. We're in.
Yeah.
Can you tell
Maybe
again
I'm
to
for
our
it.
audience where they can find you actually, so they can go and listen to you?
Yeah, we're on the Zwitter at Babylon First. We have a website, babylon5first.com. That's the number 5 and the word first. We're on YouTube. We put out our unedited show onto YouTube. That's the real show. Watching that, we edit it down on all the audio podcatchers. You can get us on all the audio places as well. And through all of those places, we also have a Stargate SG1 for the first time. That is also available in those same places. If you're into audio and you're a YouTube user, we are currently under the handle Bye Nerds, like bye, BYE Nerds. Right.
Bye, nerds.
Is us, so you can catch us there. So we're basically anywhere you look, and very eager to have you along for our journey. In fact, Rob, you said, and Gio, you're listening a little bit already. Listen along with us and let us be a part of your journey as you watch Babylon 5 for the first time.
Awesome.
Hey guys, don't give them too many referrals or beat us on the listings.
No, but I am definitely a fan. If you guys have not, if you guys there are listening to us have not listened to the show, again, I won't stop mentioning this. I enjoy the show, and you guys should, we're a long podcast. Like I said, you can pause us, go back, listen, and come back to us. It's a great podcast, and I started listening only because I started watching Babylon 5, and it's obviously I'm gonna get some spoilers because I haven't watched the whole thing, but the way that is presented, it's really cool, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Robert, it's really easy. Watch the episode, then listen to their episode.
Well, maybe I get some spoilers and know.
It's a good companion method.
I will tell you, there's a moment in every one of our shows where we do a recap of what happened in that episode, and it usually starts with a, "Hey, in case they haven't watched this show before us, which is weird but cool, or you just haven't seen it in a long time, let's talk about what happened."
Yep.
Because there are people who just listen to us and don't go watch the show first. It happens, and it's weird but cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hopefully they catch up though. So if you want to catch more episodes of our podcast here, Science Fiction Remnant, we have some websites. www.sciencefictionremnant.com. There's the link there on the screen now. You can pop down to that website. It's not only got our current episode available through all the podcatchers, but also it has our back catalogue. So you can scroll back through there, find an IP you're interested in, and hopefully you've watched it first, because we spoil the crap out of everything. Just be prepared for that. And you can then find out what we thought and all the deep dives that we take into what's going on in the show and what we think's behind it all. Because, if there's a conspiracy theory chaos, we'll find it. He loves his conspiracy theories. We also have a Patreon set up. If you find our content valuable, hopefully somebody will one day, then you can join our Patreon and help us out. Of course, Patreon's a monthly pledge, and if that's a little bit too much for you, there's always Buy Me a Coffee, because, of course, we do need to keep our local Chaos Lord caffeinated. He's got a can there right now, but he's running low. So if you could spare a few shekels to buy him a coffee, that would be awesome as well. We have our hotline that you can leave us a message. Now I should have it memorized by now, but I actually got to scroll all the way back up to find the number. It's 1-305-563-6334. That's 1-305-563-6334. Chaos is waiting for your hate mail. Dial now. But thank you for joining us. We really do enjoy talking to you about these wonderful sci-fi IPs that just, there never seems to be a shortage of them these days. We go, why haven't we covered? There's another one. Like last week we covered that wonderful Arnie movie, Total Recall. And it was a case of, why haven't we covered this yet? Oh, because there's all these other really good things that we've covered. Fair enough. So yeah, we have a lot of fun on this show, and we hope you enjoy listening to it, and it brings a smile to your day. And of course, if you have an idea for an IP we haven't covered yet, and there's quite a few of them out there, then you can jump on our Discord and let us know, or you can leave us a message on our phone number, or get a hold of us on X or one of the other socials, and just let us know what you'd like us to cover. We'll give it a good look. And of course, if you are a Mad King fan, you can join us on the show like these fine gentlemen over here have done, to talk about your favorite IP and what you really love about it. Because, of course, if you've spent a lot of time with an IP and really love it, then you're going to have some interesting things to tell us, and we want to know. Yes. So join us on the show if you have a favorite IP. Check out our back catalog, jump on Discord and continue the discussion. And hopefully we'll see Jeff and Brent over there on the Discord, so we can talk more about how these wonderful gentlemen down here are finding B5 as they get stuck into it. And, Stargate SG-1 and all those other great sci-fi IPs that have blessed our eyeballs and our ears over the years, and more to come. So on that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being our guests, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.